Eddie with three, fires up a three. He got it! Eddie Johnson hit it from the top of the logo. He can bring it inbound. He threw it right to Pate. Ahead to McMillan. Game over. We go to game 4.
Sonics basketball is being brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. Subaru, it's what to drive. Coca-Cola Classic, you can't beat the real thing. Seafirst Bank, isn't it time to switch to Seafirst? Alaska Airlines, again and again. Frequent travelers rate Alaska the best airline in the U.S. Safeway, they take service personally. GTE, the power is on. Jack in the Box, always something new. Jeep and Eagle, the official vehicles of the NBA. And by high-performance Citgo gasoline, available at your participating 7-Eleven.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Salt Lake City, Utah, the Delta Center, where tonight the Seattle SuperSonics take on the Utah Jazz, a brand spanking new facility here in Salt Lake City, Utah, that the Sonics helped open back on November the 7th. They defeated the Utah Jazz in the maiden voyage of this brand new center, 19,911. The Sonics are taking on the toughest home team, as it turns out, in the NBA tonight. 26-2 of the Utah Jazz. Only the Sonics and the Knicks have beaten the Jazz in this building this year. Sonics, a good road team, 13-15, equaling last year's output. Let's roll it back. Take a look at Monday night, Professor, when the Sonics defeat the Minnesota Timberwolves. And getting it started, Gary Payton. Ricky Pierce howled a little bit with the big toe, gave way to Eddie Johnson, who has led the Sonics in scoring the last 3 games. Eddie coming up with 26 points against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Sonics moving it inside to Sean Kemp and Benoit Benjamin. Sean Kemp clicking with a big night, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 4 block shots. He has come off the bench now for 13 straight games. And Benoit Benjamin will be key tonight, averaging 10 rebounds per ball game over the last 10. He averages 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks per contest against the Utah Jazz in the previous 2 matchups. Now, we mentioned Ricky Pierce. He did not shoot well against Minnesota on Monday night, and of course was out in Saturday night's win over the Portland Trailblazers at home. Ricky told me before the game tonight that the 2 days rest the Sonics have had here in Utah has really helped him gain balance on that ailing right toe. We could see a big game from Ricky Pierce tonight. Bob and I will be back to take a look at the matchups when we continue here in a moment from Salt Lake on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
Time now for the keys to the game, brought to you by your local Puget Sound Jeep and Eagle dealers, where you'll find the Jeep and Eagle, the official vehicles of the NBA.
Welcome back to Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm Kevin Calabro, now joined by Bob Blackburn. And Bob, the last time the Sonics were in this building, they spoiled the opener for the Utah Jazz. It was the home opener for the Jazz, and it was the opener for this brand new Delta Center, a game that the Sonics won back on November 7th, 105-97, and they got very good offensive efforts really from everybody involved.
Well, it was a very emotional effort that night by the Sonics, but you know the emotion is going to turn tonight because the Jazz will remember that defeat. It stung them on their opening night in this great arena here.
Certainly Karl Malone, Willie, was kicked out with 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter in the last meeting between these two teams for a flagrant elbow thrown at Dave McMillan, and of course the argument ensued. Sonics will be without Derek McKee again tonight against the Jazz, but the Sonics will have Sean Kemp in the lineup, a man who did not play in that November 7th win earlier this year. The Kemp's presence will loosen things up inside for Benoit Benjamin in his matchup with the somewhat immobile 7'4" Mark Eaton. That matchup, I think, will be key tonight between those two. And Mark Eaton, Bob, is being known around these parts now as a scorer.
Well, as a scorer, and yet I don't know whether he'll score much against the Sonics tonight. Mark Eaton has not scored a whole lot against Seattle this year.
But he did, of course, against the Los Angeles Clippers on Tuesday night in the win at Los Angeles over the Clips. And, of course, his teammates exploded off the bench to welcome Mark Eaton into the ranks of scoring right up there with Stockton and Adrian Dantley and Karl Malone.
Kevin, I tell you what, let Mark Eaton go out there 50 times tonight. Let him take all of those open shots he wants, and the Sonics win the ball game.
Let's take a look at the first key tonight. I think it plays into checking Karl Malone, obviously.
Well, to me, quick rotation on defense is very important tonight. I've been with the Sonics in practices the last few days. We know they're going to be doing a lot of double teaming and trapping on the two very important guys, John Stockton and Karl Malone. Now, to me, when you trap those guys, the real key thing is to rotate very, very quickly, because if you don't, if the man who is left open is John Stockton, he's going to kill you either with a three-point shot if he's a guy wide open out there, or if you do not cover his man close to the basket, he's going to whip that ball to him and have an easy two. So I think quick rotation tonight, very important. How about you?
Problem in the past for the Utah Jazz, as you know, Bob, has been the lack of bench strength. Guys to back up Stockton and Malone, to give them a breather, to spell them. I think that's where the Sonics really could capitalize, specifically with the offensive pop coming off the bench. Eddie Johnson has led the team in scoring 3 straight games for the last 5. He's had games of 26 and 29. Yet in the 2 games against Utah this year, he's averaged only the 9 points and shooting 32% from the field. And George Karl told us before the game that he feels that Dana Barros is due to break out and have a big game. That could be a key tonight in the matchup with the Utah Jazz.
You mentioned the bench. In the 2 games so far, the Sonic bench has averaged only 19.5 points against their bench, so I think it's important tonight.
Sonics are due. We'll see how it goes in a moment with the lineups and the tip here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Welcome to Salt Lake City, Utah, the Delta Center tonight, where the Sonics meet the Utah Jazz. The Sonics 30 and 25 on the year. The Jazz leading the Midwest Division now at 38 and 19. Along with Bob Blackburn, I'm Kevin Calabro tonight here on our simulcast, and the lineups being introduced. Rather interesting, Larry Miller, the owner of the Utah Jazz, is out there along with Jerry Sloan and assistants Phil Johnson and Gordon Chiesa to welcome the Jazz to the floor. This game has got some significance to it in light of the fact that the Sonics and the Knicks, the only 2 teams this year to beat Utah in this building. Their 26-2 record at home, Bob, is outstanding.
Kevin, I'm looking for a pretty good ball game tonight. The Sonics, you know, physically and mentally are ready. They've worked out 2.5 days here. I think they're ready. They may not win, but I think it's going to be one heck of a ball game.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Subaru. Remember Subaru, it's what to drive. The guard situation for Seattle, Ricky Pierce and Jeff Malone at the shooting spot. The point guards, Gary Payton against John Stockton, #1 in the league in assists. In the middle, it'll be Benoit Benjamin up against 7'4" man Mountain Mark Eaton. The wings will have Nate McMillan covering Blue Edwards, and down low, Michael Cage with assistance from his teammates on Karl Malone. Mark Wunderlich, joined by Danny Crawford and Nolan Fine, our officials tonight, and we're just about ready to get underway here in Utah. The Sonics and the Jazz have split this year 1-1. The tip is handled by the Jazz and John Stockton. Stockton will work it out on the flank. With it, Blue Edwards covered by Ricky Pierce, and immediately illegal defense called on the Seattle SuperSonics. Big Ben back in the purple paint of the lane as Mark Eaton was down around the 3-point perimeter. And the Sonics with a warning, 10 seconds into this first quarter of play. Karl Malone will swing it in bounds now for the Jazz. Eaton will come to the ball, hands off to Stockton high on the right side. Covered by Nate McMillan. Good matchup between those two. Payton will pick up Blue Edwards. McMillan outside. Stockton comes off the Karl Malone pick to the inline. Rushes to the glass, a lateral step, and banks it up and in. John Stockton off the Malone pick on the baseline. Back come the Sonics. McMillan to pull up jumper. Grazed the far iron. Rebound. A high one. Kicks into the hands of Jeff Malone. He'll unload it. Stockton will work across midcourt. Stops high on the left. Skips it in the corner with it. Blue Edwards. Edwards looking deep down on the low block. Double team Malone. Outside it comes to Stockton. Great 3-point shooter. Won't take it over to Edwards. He will. Long J won't go. Rebound. Weak side. Gathered in by Pierce. The outlet pass nearly went by Payton. Nice pass in the lane. Benoit Benjamin to the glass. Lays it up and in. So Gary Payton, after getting the outlet from Pierce, immediately grabbed it, looked down the floor, and met Benjamin with a beautiful hurl into the lane. Led him perfectly, and we're tied at 2-2. Here is John Stockton. Sideline right. Double team. Cage jumps out on it. Stockton beyond the 3-point line, wires a pass down low. Eaton is the open man, and he is fouled. Michael Cage hustling down there after double team. Stockton could not get there in time. This is what you were talking about in the pregame, Bob.
Well, that's exactly it. You start trapping and you're going to leave somebody open. The thing they don't want to do is leave Mark Eaton too open under the basket. In that case, Michael was able to grab him before he actually went to the basket. You know, Mark, for both games this year, has made only 1 field goal in 7 shots against Seattle.
Here's John Stockton on the inbounds pass, darting outside with 10:46 to play first quarter. We're tied at 2-2. Stockton picks up his dribble. Pivots by Payton over to Malone. Lean back jumper from the baseline is good. Jeff Malone. Malone averaging 20 points per ball game. Now Pierce breaks the other way. Jazz lead 4-2. Malone turns Pierce. Ricky flips it outside. Payton will work the point. Double high post with Benjamin and Cage stacked up on the free throw line. Payton will wait. Pierce will clear off the pick. He'll settle in, head of the key, double teamed over to Payton. Rotate it to the baseline. No, he'll take the open jumper and missed it. Long rebound grabbed by Ricky Pierce. Pierce will bring it back outside. Pierce will use some clock now as the Sonics set the floor. 10:08 to play. First quarter play. Pierce off the Benjamin pick. Hovers. Nice jump pass. Benjamin leans in. Nails a 12-footer on the move. But like Benjamin. With his second basket, Ricky Pierce made a nice adjustment in midair, giving up the jumper to Big Ben, who was rolling into the lane. And the Sonics and Jazz are tied at 4-4. 9:52 to go first quarter outside Jeff Malone. Jump switch, Cage on Malone. Malone picks up the dribble, loops it low to Carl. Picked up on the weak side by Benjamin. The two collide. Carl Malone spins off, lays it up and in, rolling to the basket about 5 feet away. And the Jazz lead 6-4. Carl Malone's first basket. Outside with it, Nate McMillan. Nate checked by Blue. Edwards slips it over to Cage, end line left. Covered by Carl Malone off the Benjamin pick. Into the lane he comes. Loops it outside. McMillan will take a long step by Eaton. Underhand finger roll off the glass. Carl Malone grabbed the rebound. He and McMillan collide inside. Malone goes down, grimacing in pain. The foul is called on Nate McMillan.
Well, I tell you, that's a tough foul to call because Nate had finished his drive to the basket. He was under there, and Malone went up in the air, came down over the top of him. That's a difficult one. I guess you have to call it, but it's a tough one.
Well, the Sonics and the Jazz locked in a good one early. The Jazz leading 6-4 with 9:16 to go in the first quarter of play. Outside, Carl Malone covered by Benjamin. Scoop pass inside to Eaton. Tapped away by Cage. Grabbed by Ricky Pierce. Ahead it comes to Payton. Gallops down the right side. Spins away from Stockton. Loops it with the left hand over to Cage. The baseliner is good for Michael Cage. That was a nifty little pass across the lane with a left paw there from Gary Payton to tie it at 6-6. 8:53 to go first quarter. Payton's been sharp with 2 fine assists early. Jeff Malone outside, covered by Pierce. They spread the floor for Malone. Whips it over to Stockton. Popping out. Heads to the end line. Gary Payton reached in. Handcuffed Stockton. This will be a shooter, and they will send Stockton up to the free throw line.
Well, one thing you have to do is you have to keep constant pressure on John Stockton. You like to pressure him when he brings the ball out of backcourt, and you like to keep the ball out of his hands and out of Carl Malone's hands as much as possible. Consequently, a lot of you will be watching it tonight, and you'll watch the Sonics doing a lot of overplaying on these two individuals as Stockton goes to the line.
John Stockton hits the first free throw. He's a do-it-all type guy, isn't he, Bob?
I tell you, he does everything, and of course, he's #1 in the league in assists, and he's #2 up there in steals. Yeah, he does it all.
Stockton nails both free throws. And the Jazz lead by a deuce, 8-6, 8:41 to play, first quarter play. Sonics off to a good start early. Gary Payton out beyond the three-point perimeter, looking for McMillan. Cross-court pass into the hands of Nate. Covers it high over the head. Now gives to Ricky Pierce out, standing astride the three-point line. Looks at the clock, 8 on the shot clock. Up to Benjamin pick. Turns, fires over Eaton. This one rim short. Rebound snatched by Cage. He'll bring it outside. Michael thought about the jumper. Malone got on him. He'll give it up to Nate McMillan. Nice reverse pivot by Blue Edwards. He'll sky by Eaton. Steps right by him and lays it up and in. Nate McMillan on a lovely little dance to the inline and hovered right by Eaton to tie it at 8-8. 8:05 to go in the first quarter. Stockton on the point, checked by Gary Payton. Stockton slips a sidearm pass out to Blue Edwards. Edwards trying to bring Cage up from beneath his lair under the basket. Will take the long jumper, miss it. Rebound to Michael, tapped away by Edwards, but into the hand of Nate McMillan. McMillan will roar out of backcourt, skips it to Payton, spots a seam, penetrates, dishes up with the left hand, bang by Eaton. No autopsy, no foul. Stockton will run the other way. Lost the dribble, goes back, circles it, gives to Malone. Trailing on the play, and he hoists up a 12-footer and nails it. Jeff Malone has 4 points, and the Jazz lead by 2, 10-8. 7:31 to go in the first quarter of play. Now Payton high on the left side. Crossover dribble takes Stockton up to Benjamin and Cage. Pick at the head of the key, loops across court, intended for Pierce, overthrowing him and out of bounds. The Sonics turnover, their first, with 7:20 to play in the first quarter. Jazz by 2 at 10-8. Miscommunication, I think, on that one, Bob.
Well, it was a real miscommunication, and the Sonics really been handling the ball pretty well. Now they've been matching baskets with the Jazz. Here's the first chance for either team to get on top by more than 2.
Here's John Stockton, sideline right. Covered by Payton, lofts it inside. There's Carl Malone on the lob, missed it. Over Benjamin, got the rebound, and is fouled from behind. This will send Carl Malone to the free throw line. The foul, they're going to say, is on Michael Cage.
Now, it's unfortunate at the other end. You had mentioned when Gary Payton got banged in there. He's still talking to the official out there when he never got called on that one. This time, of course, they get it into Malone, and any time around the basket he gets bumped, he'll be going to the free throw line. I think he goes to the free throw line as much as anybody. Let's see, what has he been this year? He's been up there 585 times, not counting this one. That's a little practice.
And he converts a few times. He's a 75%er up there at the line. You mentioned rotation at the top, Bob, when we went over the keys. You could see Benoit Benjamin that time sprint from the free throw line down to the baseline, and that little path from free throw line to baseline tonight is going to be a very important route for Ben, because he's the key on that rotation
That's
down
the
to Malone.
spot. That's the one, and they emphasized yesterday and today, Ben. They said you're the man. You have to sprint back when you have it at the top of the key. You have to sprint back to get that man low inside.
Karl Malone drills both free throws. He's got a half dozen, and the Jazz have their largest lead at 12-8. 7 minutes remaining, and a very good first quarter of play. Outside it is Payton. Over to Pierce. Sideline right with it. McMillan. Down low, it goes to Cage. Doubled. Edwards. Karl Malone. Nice pass across the lane. Over to Payton. Try to slip it through traffic over to Big Ben. Juggled. Ben gets it back. Twice the debit of Gary. Sets up. Karl Malone with a quick little fake of a pass to Cage, and then drills an 8-footer left-hand side. Now Payton again has been sharp early, and the Jazz lead by 2, 12-10. Outside with 6:29 to go in the first quarter. Here's Jeff Malone. Rumbles into the lane. Switches left to right hand. Finger rolls it up and in. And Jeff Malone has got a half dozen. Outside now, Pierce slams into the lane. He and Stockton collide. An offensive foul called on Ricky Pierce. And this will be the first on Ricky.
The Jazz take timeout.
As the Utah Jazz have some people hurting, and it appears to be Jeff Malone with a right shoulder or possibly the right wrist. There's a timeout on the floor with 6:19 to go in the first quarter. Jazz 14, Sonics 10 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Well, the Sonics trail the Jazz 14-10, 6:19 to go here in the first quarter, and this half of Sonics basketball is being brought to you in part by Subaru. It's what to drive.
Jeff Malone got off to a good start, hitting three. His 3 for 3. He's gone to the bench with some kind of an injury. We'll have to wait and see a little bit later right now, and Tyrone Corbin has come in for him. Corbin, a swingman.
Corbin averaging 18 points a game last year for Minnesota, traded for Thurl Bailey. It was a good acquisition by the Jazz. Stockton on top to Karl Malone, works head of the key. Karl Malone has 6 points tonight on 3 buckets. Gives to Stockton. Pick and roll back to Karl. Under through it. Off his fingertips. Grabbed by McMillan. Ahead to Payton. Into the lane. Gives off to Ricky. Banks it up and in cleanly from 5 feet. 14-12 the count. The Jazz by 2. 5:50 to play first quarter. Blue Edwards will work outside. Covered by McMillan. Now Payton will pick up Stockton on the right side. Edwards cuts to the lane. Blocked by Benoit Benjamin. Beautiful block by Ben. Out to Payton. Lead pass to McMillan. Ambles down the near side, backs into Karl Malone, gives to Payton, hands off to Cage into the lane, try to slip it back to Payton, read beautifully by Stockton. He's got a steal. Motors across midcourt, slants into the purple lane. He's turned away by Ricky Pierce. Looking low for Karl Malone. Cage trying to slip around in front of Karl Malone. 14 on the shot clock. Stockton will skip it low. Karl juggles it, comes out deep to get it long. Jay got it. Oh man. Karl Malone drills one just inside the 3-point perimeter. Karl Malone with a half dozen in the early going. Here is Payton now. Payton has it sideline left. 16-12 the count. Jazz by 4. 5 minutes to go. First period. McMillan over to Cage outside on the right. Karl Malone takes a swipe at the ball. Cage gives it up to Pierce. Slants into the key. Gives off to McMillan. A 3 in the air. He nailed it. Nate McMillan with the 3. McMillan on the year has only hit 6 of 36, 16%, but he had 2 big ones in the first 2 minutes of the Sonics' first quarter against the Portland Trailblazers on Saturday night in the win. And it pulls the Sonics to within 1 at 16-15. Outside, checked closely as Edwards, and a timeout is called by the Utah Jazz. Timeout called by the Jazz. 16-15 the count. Jazz by 1, 4:30 to go in the first quarter. It's a 20-second timeout, Bob, which will allow the Sonics to bring in their second wave of substitutions.
Well, I'll tell you, when you bring that second wave in, you bring some of the power, Eddie Johnson and Sean Kevin, guys like that, and when Derek McKee returns and Dana Ferris, that second unit can be awfully, awfully powerful.
This copyrighted broadcast presented by the authority of the NBA, the SuperSonics, and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of the game without the express written permission of the NBA and the SuperSonics is prohibited. I've read this thing so many times this year, Bob. It's like a mantra for me. I kind of go into this transcendental state when I read
it. You did not give anybody else credit there as you usually do. I thought Larry Miller might be included on approval here tonight.
How about Barney Miller?
Barney Miller.
Okay. There is Jerry Sloan. He was a tough guy, wasn't he, when he played for the Bulls?
I tell you, I used to vote for Jerry Sloan for all-star teams, and other guys were still voting for the Oscar Robertson. People that were great in their time, but were passé. They had lost their stuff, and I had Jerry Sloan going a lot of all-star games.
Here are the Jazz now, the inbounds. Ty Corbin will handle it outside. And Eric Murdoch, the rookie from Providence, will hoist up a three. Rims off. Rebound grabbed by Nate McMillan. We'll set the lineup for you in a moment. Sean Kemp has come in for Seattle. Here's McMillan down the left-hand side. McMillan down low to Cage. Posts up. Nice up fake on Eaton. He lays it softly over the lid, up and in. Michael Cage has got 4. Boy, Stockton looked like the Empire State Building going airborne that time, didn't he? Looked like a rocket shot from Cape Canaveral on that little up fake from Cage. Sonics take the lead after trailing by 4, 17-16. 3:56 to play in the first quarter. Outside Murdoch. Slips it over to Edwards. Down low. Mark Eaton, the roundhouse left-handed hook won't go. Kemp seals him off. Grabs the rebound on the inline and hands off to Gary Payton. Gary up the center of the floor. Looks left, feeds right outside. It's Nate McMillan. Down low to Cage. A touch pass. He goes up. Blocked by Eaton. Count the basket. Goaltending to call. Michael's got a half dozen. Great ball movement by Seattle.
Michael Cage on the pregame show tonight on radio was talking about not taking part in the fun games they have at three-point or the midcourt shooting at the practices. He said, look, I know my range. That's why I'm shooting 50%, 57% of my shots. He is 3 for 3 tonight, and he's sure holding that percentage. He'd be 5th in the league if he'd taken enough shots.
Sonics come down and they pressure in backcourt. Murdoch covered by the veteran McMillan. Murdoch comes off the pick of Karl Malone, circles wide into the lane, gives off to Corbin, sets his feet, baseliner away, missed it, rimmed it short, rebound to Eaton. Reloads outside, Karl Malone bluffs the pass, in he comes, loops it up with the left hand over Kemp, won't go. Ball batted, Corbin's got it across the lane, a beautiful pass. Karl Malone banks it up and in. Malone has got 8 early points. Sonics come right back. Here's trying to slant in, turned away by Edwards, grabbed by Edwards into the lane. And a foul called on the drive to the hole with 3:09 to go in the first quarter of play. Sonics lead the Jazz by 1, and George Karl will call a timeout for Seattle. And we will return here to Salt Lake City in a moment on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Well, it's time now to take a look at what's on tap by Miller Genuine Draft. The Sonics' next 3 home games. Sunday, the Cleveland Cavaliers come to town. Tuesday, the 3rd, Denver in town. Saturday, New Jersey. That's on the 7th. And call Ticketmaster. They'll set you up. 628-0888 is their number. Sonics lead with Eddie Johnson in the lineup. Seattle by 1, 19-18, 3:03 to go first quarter. Johnson outside, loops it low. Cage up fakes. Malone stands his ground, gives it back to Eddie. Down low to Michael. Dribbles outside, 11 on the shot clock. Skips it over to Payton. Cuts through the defense, into the lane, switches left to right, hand left it short. Couldn't finish it. Nice play. Corbin the rebound, and in backcourt, Payton reaches in to try to tap that ball away, and a foul called by Nolan Fine is on Gary Payton. That is the 2nd foul on Gary.
Well, that puts the Sonics over the limit. They're going to the other end of the court. As Gary on that there, and it so happens so often when a guy will miss a shot like that, he'll try to make up. He'll try to make up for it, and here he comes around, sneaking around behind to knock the ball loose, and he gets his man. By the way, offensively, the Jazz have hit only 2 of their last 7 shots. Seattle's defense in that half-court offense of Utah has really picked up, and they're getting tough in there.
Eddie Johnson, now Dana Barros. Sean Kemp before the commercial. Michael Cage and Nate McMillan on the planks now for the Sonics. Corbin hits the first free throw. 6'6" forward out of DePaul. Played with Xavier McDaniel at AC Flora High School in Columbia, South Carolina. Hits both free throws. Corbin, a tough kid. Back come the Sonics, trailing now by 1, 2:43 to go first quarter. Johnson sideline left, looking low for Kemp. Sean double teamed by a huge Michael Brown and Tyrone Corbin. Johnson to Kemp, the 2-man play over to Kemp. Turnaround baseliner, won't go. Rebound grabbed by Eric Murdoch, rookie out of Providence. Murdoch across midcourt, quick left to right hand dribble into the lane. Lean in, Jay on the move, won't go. Rebound, Sean Kemp. Outlet pass to Nate McMillan. He'll take it right up the center of the floor. Draws the D over to Eddie. Baseline pop. Yes, Eddie Johnson.
A layup for Eddie.
I'm telling you, the way he's been shooting, Bob, you're right. Sonics by 1. 21-20, 2:11 to go, first quarter play. Eddie, before anybody tonight, was on the floor shooting jump shots. He must have thrown up about 100 while we were out here watching him. Brown out high on the right. Michael Brown. Fakes left, goes right along the lane, stops and banks one in from 10 feet. Mike Brown, big load, 6'9", 260. George Washington down his 6th year. 1:51 to go, first period. 22-21, the Jazz by 1. Jeff Malone back in the lineup, flexing that right arm. Apparently stunned the right arm early on here in the quarter. Covers McMillan. Quick flurry of movement. Right to left. Gives over to Kemp. Left-hand side. Covered by Brown. Out to Johnson. Base. Long pop from the high left angle. Missed it. Rebound grabbed by Brown. Out it comes to Jeff Malone. Jazz by 1. Jeff Malone. A crossover right to left-hand dribble. Oh, a beautiful play by McMillan, who tomahawked him. Came right up over the ball and just took it right out of his hands. Unfortunately, it bounded out of bounds, and Utah will take it. Cates will come out as Benoit Benjamin checks in now at the 1:27 mark of the first quarter. Jazz with 17 on the shot clock. Here's the inbounds pass. It's muffed. Malone. McMillan with a steal. Lead pass to Johnson. The wraparound feed to Big Ben was a perfect pass, but Murdoch fouled him apparently before he got rid of the pass. Foul is on Eric Murdoch, and this will be a non-shooting foul.
Well, the officials called it that way. Eddie really jumped up. He was really mad because he thought he had gotten rid of the ball first. You know, McMillan started to the forward. He has switched back to a guard spot now, and he's on Jeff Malone, who, of course, is one of their leading scorers on that last one. It was hard to tell on the replay. Inbounds pass. Hey, here we go.
Great ball movement. Again, Johnson setting up the defense with the threat of the jumper. Drew the defense out and off balance. Gave to Kemp and a beautiful back to the basket, two-handed jam. So Sean Kemp with his first basket. Eddie Johnson the assist, 23-22. Sonics leading by 1 early. 1:03 to go, first quarter. Karl Malone, he's been rather quiet. 8 points for Karl. Slips it over to Corbin, high on the right side. Checked by McMillan. Ooh, Karl wants the ball in deep. He's got it there. He'll swing one up, miss it, but follows it up and in with a rebound. Karl Malone has got 10. Boy, he just pushed Sean Kemp aside like a rag doll. Down low, Kemp trying to get possession on Karl Malone. Here's Johnson in the corner, looking low for Sean. Cuts in, feeds off to Kemp. Nice drop step spin, goes by Malone. Powers to the glass and is rammed in there by Michael Brown. It'll send Sean Kemp to the free throw line. He has got, Bob, undoubtedly one of the quickest, if not the quickest, drop steps in the NBA.
It is, and when he feels that hot breath on his right shoulder, he's so quick to go to the baseline with his left. This time he gets double teamed. Got fouled by both of them. Who got it, Malone or the other guy?
I think Michael Brown got it.
Michael Brown got it, yeah. That was a great move by Sean.
Kemp's free throw is up. It is good. Kemp with 3 on the night. Kemp listed at 6'10 and 240. And Karl Malone at 6'9 and 256. So Malone's got a little more bulk than Sean. A little more upper body strength. Second free throw off the mark. Chased to the corner by Michael Brown. Murdoch will bring it across for the Jazz, who trail, or actually are in a tie now, 24 apiece. Here's Jeff Malone cruising down the wing. Pull-up jumper for Jeff. No. Rebound volley. Kemp taps it away from Corbin. Picked up by Nate McMillan. 25 seconds to go in the first quarter. McMillan, long pass. Diagonally, inline left to Johnson. Can't handle it. Tapped away by Corbin and into the hands of George Karl. Nice catch for the North Carolina product. He learned something there at North Carolina, didn't he?
Well, I tell you, he came off the bench most of the time when he was in the pros, and he came off the bench and made a beautiful play that time. He's used to coming off the bench and seeing action.
George, of course, coached the Golden State Warriors to the win in the 86-87 playoffs against this Utah Jazz basketball team. After the Golden State trailed 2-0, they were the first team to come back in a playoff series from a 2-0 deficit and win. Of course, New York has done it since against Boston. 11 seconds remaining in the first period. Sonics with the basketball. Kofo draws the D over to Benjamin. Baseline pop. Rolls in and out. Kemp with a follow. Pinned it between glass and rim, and that is an automatic jump ball.
Hey, Sonics might get a break on that when they're down to 5.7 seconds to go. Game tied in front court. You know, at least Sean Kemp saved the play on that one by putting it up there and tucking it in the rim.
Tapped it right in there between glass and rim.
Of course, it would have been nicer had it gone in, obviously.
Oh, yeah. And it was snugged up there. 5 and 7, 10 seconds remaining in the first period. The Jazz and the Sonics tied at 24. Bart Kofo, the former Jazz, in the lineup, made that feed to Benoit Benjamin and got a good look at that baseline jumper. Here's the tap. It's controlled by Murdoch. Good shooter. Look out. Barros is on him. Tries to turn the corner. Murdoch does from the baseline. Pull-up jumper will not go at the buzzer. That ends the first quarter of play for George Karl and the Sonics, tied at 24 all here in Utah on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
Starting the second quarter.
Frank Layden, Big Daddy, the president of the Utah Jazz, the man who, well, he resigned as coach in December of 1988, gave away to Jerry Sloan, and Layden has been just a big factor in the NBA's rise to prominence, hasn't he, Bob?
A couple of interesting numbers here, too, Kevin. The Sonics had 12 points in the paint, and they had 10 fast breaks getting 5 points, or 5 fast breaks getting 10 points off of those.
Here's Barros with a 3 to open up the second quarter. He drilled it. Dana Barros hits the home run. 27-24, Sonics by 3. 11:39 to go, second quarter play. Sonics with a couple of threes. Oh, Malone turned that ball over in backcourt. Danny Crawford says no. Malone covered by Kofo. Jeff Malone gives it outside to John Stockton. Trots down the far side. Quick burst of speed to the inline. He beat Dana Barros to the glass. Lays it up and in, but Dana didn't get any help down there. Stockton will head to the line on the foul to DB.
I can't believe an official would not call that when he palmed that ball and went so high in this particular case. Well, I tell you, I don't think there was much of a foul. He got a hand on him early there, but I don't think it impeded his progress.
Stockton to the line, hits the free throw. He's got 7. And the Jazz and Sonics are tied at 27 apiece. 11:23 to go in the second quarter. Barrows picked up tightly by Stockton. Circles out of a double team as Jeff Malone sprints over on Dana. Dana now looking at a double team. Rotates it over to Kemp. Kemp dribbling outside. Hands to Kofod. 11 on the shot clock. Kofod looking at a double team. Picks up the dribble outside to Dana. 5 on the shot clock for Barrows. Sets up on Stockton. Crossover dribble over to Kofod. Got to get a shot off Will. 2 on the shot clock. He rained it down out of the corner. Boyd Kofod with the jumper. His time had just ticked off the shot clock. 10:55 to go in the first half. Sonics by 2, 29-27. Stockton down the left wing. Looking at a double team as Johnson rushes out on him with Barrows. Now they drop off. Stockton, hippity hop dribble down the wing, slants to the inline, picked up by Kemp, rotates, swings it outside of Michael Brown. Juggler picks it up. Blindside sweeping pick of Barrows. No. Brown struggles to get it back and wheels up the jumper. Michael Brown with a long J to tie it at 29 all. 10:29 to go in the second quarter. Kofod hands off to Eddie Johnson. Johnson outside off the screen of Kofod. Fires a long bomb. It rims off. Rebound grabbed by Karl Malone. Saves it on the inbounds. And the outlet to Stockton. Stockton veers outside on a Brown pick. Hands to Jeff Malone. Jump passes back to Stockton. Picked up by EJ. Eddie reaches in and uppercut him, and the foul is on Eddie Johnson. That is his first.
Yeah, the Sonics are shooting a hot 13 for 23, 56% right now, and the Jazz 44%, 11 for 25. So Seattle's work on defense has really paid off.
Jazz have out-rebounded the Sonics to this point, 13-10. Well, the Sonics are credited with 4 blocks here in the early going. Outside, Corbin will swing it cross court to John Stockton. He is covered by Dana Barrows. Stockton over to Jeff Malone, turns, rifles up a shot, a flat shot, rims off, rebound by Corbin, shovels it to Michael Brown, up big, leans over Big Ben, shot good if it goes, it won't. It came rocking out of there, the foul on the shot. It's committed by Dana Barrows, they
Kevin,
say.
that injury to Jeff Malone, whatever it was, you remember he went off holding his right hand, and he has missed his last 2 shots on this particular play. Although he missed it, rebound was taken. Mike Brown hesitated, decided to go inside instead of outside, got fouled and misses the first one.
Second foul on Dana Barrows as Mike Brown steps up for another one. Brown shooting 65% on the year from the stripe. Gets the second one to fall. 30-29. The Jazz lead by 1. 9:53 to go in the first half. Johnson, sideline left, covered by Corbin. Looking low for Big Ben, posted up. Ben gets the drop pass from Johnson. Backs down on Eaton. Muscles to the glass, goes airborne. Block grab by Big Ben, and on a lovely reverse off glass, banks it home. Benjamin's got a half dozen. 31-30. Sonics by 1. Now they get up in the front court. They double team Stockton. He slants a pass up in the forecourt to Brown. Over to Corbin. Baseline touch. He got it. Corbin with his first field goal. Back come the Sonics in a hurry. Trailing by 1. Double team near side Johnson. Picked up by Corbin. He'll again drop it to Kemp. Backs in on Brown. Backs in, bumps into the paint. Turns away. Faces up on the baseline. Gets high into the air and smoothly drops a 12-footer. Sean Kemp with a little bit of touch that time. He's got 5 and the Sonics lead by 1. 33-32, 9:03 to play in the first half. Stockton outside, works it between the wickets, covered by Barrows. Over to Jeff Malone, turned away by Kemp. Down low, that leaves Payton trying to front big. Michael Brown, ball tapped away by Kemp from Malone. He got it, lead pass. Barrows breaks to the glass and lays it up and in. Dana Barrows on the defensive play from Kemp for the steal and the lead pass. 35-32. Sonics by 3. 8:40 to go first half. This is going to be a good one tonight, folks. Call your friends. Let them know. Sonics and the Jazz are hooked up in a beauty tonight. Stockton high on the left, looking to skip it. Nice pass over to Jeff Malone. Lean back jumper. He drained it off the baseline. Jeff Malone's got 8 points. 35-34. Sonics by 1. Barrows with a hippity hop down the wing. Drops it low. Kemp with his back to Brown. Backs him down. Looking at a double team there. Swings it out to Barrows. Gets it back. Stockton from behind. Taps away. Sean will get it back. Goes into traffic beneath the basket. Went high into the air and it's tapped away by Mark Eaton. I tell you, Michael Brown and Mark Eaton banged him inside and there was no whistle on that play.
Yeah, I tell you, Kemp got really hacked in the back of the head. George Carl is talking to the official on the near side. Let's watch as he goes inside there. There it was. The elbow came down right there.
Barrows will bring it in with 7 on the shot clock to Johnson. Turns, swivels, and nails the jump shot. Eddie Johnson's got 4. 37-34. Sonics on top by 3. 8 minutes to play in the first half. John Stockton working down the wing. Covered by Dana Barrows, who's played a lot of point in the period. Fronting Edwards inside as Gary Payton. Illegal defense is called on the Sonics. This time it's whistled on Sean Kemp. And this is a violation on the SuperSonics, which will give Stockton a free throw and possession for the Jazz.
Sean Kemp should be called on that. Mark Eaton should be called almost every time the Jazz get back on defense. They play probably the best disguised zone in the NBA.
He is a zone. What are you talking about?
That's right.
Stockton hits the free throw. Stockton has 8 points. And in will come Ricky Pierce for Eddie Johnson. Johnson has hit a couple of baskets.
You know, Eddie has averaged 32 minutes the last 3 games, and he has averaged 26 points as he led in those games, as you pointed out earlier.
Sonics bringing in bounds, and immediately a foul call. This is on Dana Barros. Boy, the Sonics are really piling up the personal fouls. That is the 3rd on Dana Barros. And it is where are the team fouls here? That is the 4th on the Sonics, who are at the limit now with 7:50 to play here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and the Jazz have none. Interestingly, as sharp as the Sonics have been out shooting the Jazz tonight, the game is still very close.
Jazz bringing in bounds, Corbin and Stockton. Michael Brown, Mark Eaton, Blue Edwards with a pass from Stockton. Glides to the glass. Beautiful little lob in there, a lead lob. Jeff Malone caught it and angled to the glass. He is actually Blue Edwards, beg your pardon, Edwards with his first basket tonight. Here's a ball juggled in the lane, grabbed by Michael Brown. Lead pass to Corbin, brings the head of the knee into the lane, up to the left. And the right-handed lay-in, he's got a half dozen. 39-37, the Jazz by 2 with 7:22 to go here in this first half of play. Now it is Gary Payton working with it. Payton high on the left. Hesitates off the Kemp pick, gives it to Ricky Pierce, and illegal defense is called on the Utah Jazz. It is on Man Mountain Mark Eaton.
I told you they'd get Mark Eaton. They should. Then they did. You know, that last turnover really created another situation. Sean Kemp has had a problem this year, and the one thing he has to work on is that dribbling into that packed-in lane when it's packed in like that. He should pull up and do something else. He dribbled in and had it taken away, and it got to an easy fast break.
Here's Pierce, turns on the left side, drains a 15-footer. Ricky Pierce. Pierce has got 4 points. 39-39 the score, 7:02 to go here in the second quarter of play. Dave Preifeld, our statistician, points out that the Jazz is staying in this game with free throws. They are 9 out of 10. The Sonics are 1 of 2. They've outscored the Sonics by 8 at the line. Here's Michael Brown, high right-hand side of the key. Brown outside to Stockton, lunging for the ball is Pierce. Crowd wanted a foul. They won't call it. Stockton will take a 3. Great percentage from there. He drilled it. John Stockton has got 11 points. Number 6 in the league in percentage at 42%. 42-39, Jazz by 3. Pierce fires one outside of McMillan, head of the key off the pick from Benjamin. Gives back to Benny, squares for a 15-footer, rims off, rebound to Mark Eaton. 6:27 to go in the second quarter. Jazz lead by 3. Stockton skips it low to Michael Brown. Puts the ball on the floor right, spins back to his left, hovers with a 12-footer that rims off, rebound grabbed by Kemp. Outside to Payton, long diagonal pass, forecourt right with it. McMillan to the trailer. Pierce plants his feet, covered by Eaton. Eaton drops down. Pierce open, 20-footer, bangs off the backside. Grabbed by Blue Edwards. Edwards will weave out of backcourt. Comes into forecourt. He's picked up by Payton. Looks for the trailer and to Stockton outside. They will set up the floor with 14 on the shot clock. Edwards down low, gets the lob from Stockton. Up fakes to the glass and loops it up on him with the right hand. Blue Edwards with 4 points. They're working that little lob pass from Stockton to Edwards with success, at least the last couple of trips down the floor. And the Jazz, as a result, lead by 5. Their largest lead, 44-39. 5:37 to play in the first half. McMillan has it outside. He's checked by Edwards. Skips a low pass to Pierce. Spins on Corbin to the glass. Corbin was on his hip. Came over the top to ram him. The foul on Corbin will send Ricky Pierce to the line.
And Ricky has just a little mini streak going around. Now he's made his last 6 in a row. We have a timeout called. The 5:28 left here in the first half. And the Sonics trailing the Jazz 44-39 on the Sonic Broadcast Network.
Now the Sonics trail the Utah Jazz 44-39. We're in the second period with 5:28 to play.
And the Jazz have been very hot in this second period. The Jazz hitting 8 out of 10, 80%. The Sonics 7 out of 12, 58%. That's field goals.
Ricky Pierce will head to the free throw line. And Ricky, who has had streaks of 62 and 75 consecutive free throws to the line, tosses this one up and got it. Pierce with 5. As we mentioned, the Jazz have outscored the Sonics at the line. Jazz 9 out of 10. The Sonics now 2 for 3. Ricky Pierce sets his feet, a deep breath, bend at the knees, loops it up, got it. Ricky with a half dozen after the made free throw. The Sonics try to double team Stockton. He slips it between the double team of Cage, and Payton gives to Karl Malone, runs into the lane, through the D, over to Eaton with a two-handed turn. Mark Eaton. Jazz by 5, 46-41, 5:15 to go in the first half. McMillan, Cage, Kemp, Pierce, and Gary Payton on the floor. McMillan out beyond the three-point line over to Pierce. Open baseliner. Got it. Ricky Pierce sneaks away to the baseline. Gary immediately fired it over there. Sonics want to keep the ball out of the hands of Stockton, bringing it up. And Blue Edwards will handle it down the wing. Payton trying to deny Stockton the ball. Can't. Edwards hands off to Stockton. Runs to the inline. Switches hands. Doubles outside to Benoit, who went into the air and is hammered. Foul is on Nate McMillan. That is the second on McMillan, and it will put the Jazz now at the free throw line.
Well, the Jazz have been changing things up a little bit this time. Stockton gets inside, gets picked up in there by Kemp. Can't shoot, gets it out to Benoit, got fouled. That last shot made by Mark Eaton, though, the Jazz are getting a lot of shots in the paint, a lot of jams off their transition, and they have now hit 9 out of 11 field goal shooting percentage in this second quarter.
David Benoit is a rookie out of Alabama, 6'8" and 225, averaging 15 points, or I should say 5 points, 4 rebounds in 15 minutes. Benoit, of course, gives them a little more depth on the bench. They like this kid. Second shot up, he got it. Rolled in there. 48-43, the Jazz lead by 5. 4:48 to play in the first half. McMillan backpedals down the wing. Kemp comes out to screen on Edwards. McMillan circles off the pick, and illegal defense is called on Mark Eaton again, Bob, and this time the Sonics will get the free throw and possession.
Well, for those of you who watch on television, and I just watch Mark Eaton, what he does, he keeps hanging back in the paint. He will not come out on his man. You're allowed to hold back a certain amount, but when you just stay way back in the paint and don't come within a certain area of your man out there, it's going to be an illegal defense, and I'm glad they're calling it on him tonight. They should call it more than they do.
Ricky Pierce, meantime, hits the free throw. He's got 9, and the Sonics will swing it in bounds. 48-44, Jazz by 4, 4:41 to go. We're in the second quarter here in Salt Lake City, Utah. The Sonics come in tonight with a 30-25 mark, 5 over the 500, and they have won 4 straight. Here's Gary Payton on the point, checked by Stockton, skips it over to Pierce, covered by Benoit, the rookie. Pierce will set him up as they isolate the two. Benoit leans in, tried to grab at the ball immediately. Mark Wunderlich whistles a foul. Boy, these officials have really been calling it tightly tonight, Bob.
Well, they have, but the Sonics still have only two team fouls against the Jazz in this period, so Seattle may not get into that penalty shot time in this quarter at all.
Now Pierce slants out on the near side of the ball, swings it left, takes it right. He scoots right by Benoit with a lovely running hook shot. Pierce is banged as he goes to the floor by Karl Malone, and those two have some words for each other. It's I think, an intelligent conversation. Ricky comes away smiling, and Ricky will head to the line for 2.
You know, that is good, smart offense to take, and they've done it twice in a row now on different sides. Isolate Pierce, the great veteran, on the rookie Benoit. Isolate him, let him take him one-on-one. I don't think there's any match for him, and he's fouled him twice.
Second foul on Benoit, you're right.
And he's going to the bench, and Malone and Stockton back in. Yeah.
Immediately. Can't let Ricky get in a rhythm, says Jerry Sloan. 48-45, Jazz by 3. 4:23 in the first half. Ricky Pierce, high scorer in 29 games this year. Sonics are 17-12 in those games. Pierce hits the second free throw. He's got 11. John Stockton in backcourt will bring it across. Working with a left-hand dribble on Gary Payton. Jazz lead by 2, 4:15 to go. We're in the second quarter. Stockton heads to the baseline. He is covered as he reaches the paint by McMillan. Double team, swings it outside to Blue Edwards. Edwards over to Stockton, 8 on the shot clock. John way out beyond the three-point line, lobs it low. Beautiful pass. Karl Malone will catch and go. Shovels it in with the left hand. The mailman delivers. He's got a dozen. 50-46. 3:56 to go. Second quarter play. McMillan slips it on top. Pierce, quick up fake, slants in, double teamed out to Nate. Open 3. He'll fire it up, rim it short. Rebound to Karl Malone. Leaking out of Stockton. He throws a long pass over McMillan. McMillan taps it away from Stockton behind as Stockton went up on his delivery to the glass. Goaltending is the call, and Stockton will get the basket. Stockton with 13 points. He has dazzled this crowd with some amazing passes. And here is one he's on the receiving end of as the Jazz lead by 6, 52-46 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. From the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, hello again. Along with Bob Blackburn, I'm Kevin Calabro. Good game here in the second quarter. The Jazz leading the Sonics 52-46, and the Jazz with some awfully hot shooting.
Well, they're getting their transition game going. 11 out of 13, 85%. The Sonics doing well, 8 for 14, 57%. But I tell you, the Jazz, the Sonics just have to get back, cover that paint a little bit better.
Here is Gary Payton, sideline left to McMillan. He is down deep, double team. Beats it outside. Ricky Pierce covered by Mark Eaton. That leaves Blue Edwards on Benjamin. Benjamin gets a nice pass from Pierce. Turns, missed the 5-footer, rims off, caged the rebound, and they body slam him to the floor. Blue Edwards leaning on him, along with Karl Malone. And this will send Michael Cage to the free throw line. Michael, I think caught the left side of the head there on the floor as he goes down in a heap.
Yeah, Mike was a little slow about getting up. It was a nice pass in there to Benoit. I thought he was going to get that first one. Then as they got the ball, as Cage got it, there it comes right over the top, and Malone really banged him with that elbow coming down in the back of his neck. That was a real rapid punch. I think that hurt more than the fall was what it came from.
Malone's first foul. Boy, that was a tough chop from Karl Malone. 3:21 to go in the second quarter.
Ask Isaiah Thomas about Malone chops.
Yeah. Here's Cage to the line. His free throw, he missed it. What was the final count on Isaiah? Was it 41 stitches?
I think it was 41 stitches. What did Karl get? He only got penalized one game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But what, $10,000 bucks?
Some cash, yeah. A few bucks. Night's work. Quarter's work. Cage missed the first, second one up. Rims around, falls out, rebound Eaton. 3:20 to play, second quarter. Jazz by 6, 52-46. Stockton across midcourt over to Jeff Malone into the lane. Loops one high into the air with the right hand. He got another McGlass on that one, folks. He'd love to have that back. Rebound Benjamin. Pierce down the wing. Pushed off to get open on his back step jumper. He leaned out with that right arm to fend off the defender and then took a step back. And that is an offensive foul on Ricky. Second foul on Rick. Turnover to the Sonics, who trail the Jazz by 6, 3:05 to go in the first half. Edwards outside to John Stockton. John from Gonzaga. Quick burst of speed to the line. Was he held out on the floor by Gary Payton? That's my suspicion, and that would be the third on Gary. If it is, Bob, it is the third.
It is, and Gary comes back hands on hips wondering, they allow hand checking in this league, and I don't think Gary has done any more than just barely grazed a hand on him. I don't think it has really been the type foul. They say no harm, no foul. I don't think there's been any harm in either one of those.
Now, you obviously you can't guide a man, attempt to guide a man by hand checking, but apparently that was the interpretation of the official. Payton now will go to the pine, and then will come Nate McMillan for the Sonics. 2:56 remaining here in the second quarter play. Cage is obviously irate as he comes out in front of the bench here. He is telling Nolan Fine in no uncertain terms that was a flagrant foul that Malone hit him with. 54-46. Sonics down by 8 in the mid post. Benjamin double team. Stockton stripped him. Stockton with a steal into the lane. Gives to Karl. Steps up. Lays it in. And just like that, the Utah Jazz are in high gear. They're up by 10 with 2:38 remaining in the second period. George wants to set the floor down for his offense. Nate McMillan has it high on the left side, out beyond the three-point perimeter, drops it low to Kemp, back to Nate, runs into the lane, gives off to Ben. He steps up to the glass and lays it up and in. Well, Knight Benjamin's got 8. Lovely dribble drive there by McMillan, drew the defense out. The Sonics trail by 8. 2:18 to go, second quarter play. Stockton on the near side of your screen, covered by Nate McMillan. They're going to do a little two-man play. They try to lob it to Karl Malone. In backpedaling for the lob pass, he falls down. Ball goes high over the air. No foul called. Oh, that's a technical foul. You bet. Danny Crawford, in attempting to give the ball back to Knight Benjamin, as he tried to get rid of it, had it blocked away by Malone. That's a technical foul on Karl Malone. You'll see it right here.
Well, he got just a little unhappy. He thought there should have been a foul call. He was backpedaling, and he just tripped. And there should have been no foul. Now, the last time the Sonics are here, Malone got kicked out. One more tee, and he's gone. That would be a big help for Seattle, obviously.
Ricky hits the free throw. He has 12 points. He has 10 here in the quarter. The Sonics are 7 of 10 from the line in the early going here. And Ricky from the line has hit 6 out of 6. Seattle with possession, down by 7, 56-49. 10:05 left here in the second quarter play. Now's the time for the Sonics to do a little burst on the Utah Jazz. McMillan brings Kemp out beyond the three-point perimeter. Kemp off the dribble, works on Karl Malone, takes him to the right side, leans over Eaton. Shot is blocked. Kemp gets it back, loops it to Eddie Johnson, open. Jay got it. Eddie Johnson, easy hits, got a half dozen. 56-51, and the Sonics rally to pull within 5 with 1:44 to go in the second period.
Yeah, I think Malone's a little frustrated. He's only made 1 field goal in this period. The Sonics, Cage and Kemp have done a great job defensively on him.
Stockton wide on the far side. Flips it high side here to Karl Malone. He rumbles and stumbles into the lane. His push from 10 won't go. Got his rebound. Hands off to Edwards. He walked inside. He drew the Sonic defense into the air, and that's what Nate McMillan was talking to Danny Crawford about. Edwards took steps in there. Benjamin pushed him. That is the first foul on Big Ben. And Edwards with a basket will head to the line with a free throw.
Well, again, as you said, once he got that ball, he walked in. Well, it was a nice pass. Yeah, he did. He took an extra step. That was a travel, no question.
Edwards hits the free throw.
Instead of a travel, 3 points.
Edwards has got 7. 59-51. Jazz by 8. 1:21 to go in the second quarter. McMillan out between the rings of Ricky Pierce. Pierce works one-on-one on Jeff Malone. Takes it to the left side. Malone shut him off over to Kemp. Kemp on the sideline working on Karl Malone, crossover dribble from the weak side. John Stockton strips it, dribbles through traffic. Over it comes to Jeff Malone on the inline. He'll fire one up on the move. He got it. Jeff Malone has got 10. 61-51, the Jazz by 10 again. Lead pass, McMillan to Johnson, sideline left. Eddie doubled outside to Ricky, sets his feet. Dribbles by Edwards, ran into Karl Malone, over to Eddie Johnson. He drills it off the wing. Eddie Johnson has got 8 points. 61-53, 47 seconds remaining in the second period. Well, Stockton will work the clock. 40 seconds left. Comes off the Karl Malone pick. He's got a 3 in the air. He likes it. He let it go. He missed it. Rebound to Big Ben. The outlet pass to Johnson. Streaking ahead. McMillan. The spinning behind the back pass. Up ahead. And McMillan is good for 2 as Nate lays it softly in. McMillan with 7. Jazz by 6. 30 seconds remaining in the first half. 61-55. That time Eddie got the little wraparound behind the back for a basket.
Yeah, he thought he had one before.
Here's Jeff Malone now. Working with 12, with 11 on the shot clock, 16 on the game clock. 4-second differential between the two. Jeff Malone works one-on-one, double team, try to slide a pass, does, over to Edwards in the corner. He'll unleash a 3, rim short, rebound Edwards. A pass inside, he threw it away, a break for the Sonics. All he had to do was bring it outside. He still had 7 seconds left. He tried a no-look feed to Karl Malone, but threw it out of bounds. And Seattle will take it, but first a 20-second timeout. Sonics down here by 6. With 6 and 8, 10 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, I'll tell you, considering the tremendous differential in the times that the Jazz have gone to the free throw line tonight, Sonics are doing very well to keep their heads above water and stay in this ball game. I don't know, people watching it on television are probably going to agree with the Sonics. Obviously, the Sonic fans would. But maybe the Jazz have drawn a few pity-pat fouls from the Sonics tonight. Well, they at the other end of the court have been getting away with a little physical mayhem. But those things, normally they will even up during the course of the ball game. We'll see if they do in the second half. As we get to halftime, that free throw allocation of the Jazz has been tremendous.
Yeah, the Jazz are 14 of 15. The Sonics are 6 of 8. So the Jazz have outscored the Sonics there by 8 points. One key here, the Sonics have 55 points here in the first half. Over the last 7 games, the Jazz have held the opposition to an average of 96 points per ball game. The Jazz are 18-3 when holding opposition under 100 points. Here's McMillan with 6 and 8, 10 seconds. Dribbles the length of the floor over to Kemp to the glass. He'll lay it up, miss it, rebound, tap, up and in. Count the basket at the buzzer. Sean Kemp got the tip of his own miss. And at half, the Sonics pull from 10 back to within 4 as we have completed one half of basketball in Utah. The score, the Jazz 61, the Sonics 57 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Welcome back to Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm Kevin Calabro along with Bob Blackburn. We are hooked in a good win at half. The Jazz by 4, 61-57. Bob?
Well, Kevin, I think you made a good point there a few moments ago when you talked about how well the Sonics are doing scoring-wise, and they are staying up with the Jazz right now. And they did knock that margin from double figures down to only 4 points at the halftime. I think the Sonics very much are in this ball game. They're playing pretty well.
Sonics led by the 12 of Ricky Pierce, but the scoring has been distributed, and the Jazz led by the 15 early of Stockton, the 14 of Karl Malone. At half, 61-57 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
David Thompson has it. He puts up a long shot. Goal! At the buzzer! The Sonics win!
Great Moments in Sonics History is brought to you by Old Spice. Cool, crisp, and clean. It puts the wind in your sails.
The SuperSonics and the Golden State Warriors have had a long history of great battles. Let's look back to November 26, 1991 for a real thriller.
Reaches out, steals for Mullins, and he comes with a cradling tomahawk jam! Yeah! 21 for Shaw. 95-94, Higgins busts in. Ball tapped away by Johnson, picked up by McMillan ahead of McKee, and he steps by Mullen, and he races with the underhand finger roll. And the Sonics come back to a 96-95 lead.
March 28, 1975 provided another thriller for Sonics fans. Seattle was close to locking up its first ever playoff spot. And with a win on this Friday night, the Sonics' magic number would be down to 1. Tonight for Seattle, their magic number would be down to 1 on the Portland Blazers. Right side Smith on the run, pops an 18-footer, misses. Gray had the rebound, top loose. Dickey gets it. Dickey goes in for a dunk. Sonics have the ball. Watch feed over to Clark coming up the right side. Archie pulls up, pass to Hayward on the corner. Hayward passing under Burleson, has a lay-in shot. It goes, and he got fouled by Clifford Ray. Ray draws his 4th foul of the night. A great feed by Hayward. Burleson gets the basket. Tommy has 21 points for the night. Sonics lead is down to 4. What a ball game. They have 13 seconds to shoot. The clock shows 40 seconds left in the game. The scoreboard reads a 4-point lead. Sonics. Archie Clark one-on-one move goes in reverse layup. A Coliseum sellout saw the Sonics come away with a 96-92 victory, just a win away from their first ever playoff berth. And another great moment in Sonics history.
Great moments in Sonics history has been brought to you by Old Spice.
At halftime, the Jazz lead the Sonics 61-57, and let's now review our tape, shall we, Professor? Our GTE power play brought to you by GTE, where the power is on. Eddie Johnson known as a scorer. Not necessarily. Here's Benjamin, the outlet pass ahead to Eddie Johnson. The wraparound by Stockton, skips it ahead to Nate McMillan, hovers around the lid and lays it up and in. What a beauty. Eddie had 2 assists there in that first half. Little wraparound, steps by Stockton ahead to Nate McMillan. Made on the way to the hole, had 7 points, 5 assists there in that first half. The Jazz lead it 61-57. More numbers and a review in a moment here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
Sonic Spotlight is brought to you by Novus Windshield Repair Company. If anyone tells you your windshield has to be replaced, call 1-800-55-NOVUS first. It can almost always be repaired.
I'm Bob Blackburn for Sonic Spotlight. Seattle has had 10 players named Johnson wearing Sonics uniforms over the past 25 years. But only one has ever worn the number 27, and that was forward John Johnson. John, better known as JJ, came to Seattle from the Houston Rockets 4 games into the 1977-78 season, and the 7-year veteran found himself surrounded by a unique group of talent. Johnson adapted into a point forward for the team, and the Sonics surged all the way into the 1978 NBA Finals. Seattle had essentially the same cast of players the following season, but they also had something special.
We had, as the slogan goes, the right stuff. You know, we had smart, crafty veterans. We had young, you know, good guys that could play the game, like Jack, Gus, Dennis Johnson, Lonnie Shelton. Then we had myself, Freddie Brown, Paul Silas, Audrey Snyder. Everybody on the team could contribute on any given night, and that's what made us such an effective and unique ball club.
June 1st, 1979 will always be one of the standout dates in John's life.
That was the most satisfying moment during my career. You know, that's what it was all about. That's what you work for. Is the ultimate goal is to win a championship.
JJ ended a 12-year NBA career 10 years ago, but he still plays ball every week for the likes of Fred Brown and Slick Watts. And at the Sonics Legends game last August, John was looking forward to playing before the fans one more time.
I don't know whose team I'm on, but I don't want to be on those guys' team that's out of shape and got pot bellies. I still like to win.
JJ today is the owner of the Sub Shop in Kirkland, a great place to eat and to get an autograph. For Sonic Spotlight, I'm Bob Blackburn.
Sonic Spotlight has been brought to you by Novus Windshield Repair Company. Sonics basketball is being brought to you in part by the performance, protection, and quality of Pennzoil Motor Oil. Isuzu, right on the money from the Northwest. Ernst & Dutch Boy, teaming up to keep you in the paint. Always the right price, always. Horizon Airlines, Seattle to Spokane every hour, Seattle to Portland every half hour. Les Schwab, their business is earning your trust. Budget Rent-A-Car, the smart money is on budget. City University, your window to a world of opportunity. Bally's Pac West with 8 locations in the Puget Sound area. And by high-performance Citgo gasoline, available at your participating 7-Eleven.
At halftime, the Utah Jazz lead the SuperSonics 61-57. And before we start the third quarter, let's take a look at the in-the-paint stats. Brought to you by Dutch Boy for the look that lasts. Well, the Sonics had 4 blocks, the Jazz with 4. Mark Eaton had all 4. Nate McMillan had 2 for the Seattle SuperSonics. Offensive rebounding, Jazz by 176. Total rebounding then, Jazz out-rebounding the Sonics 20-17. They are a very good rebounding team, ordinarily out rebounding the opposition by 3 rebounds per ball game. So that's the way it went in the paint tonight. And now let's take a look at the Pennzoil halftime statistics. The SuperSonics were 24, 42, 57%, had 1 more field goal than did the Jazz, who were 23 for 43, 54%. Difference clearly was at the line where the Jazz were 14 out of 15, Stockton 6 for 6, 93%. Sonics 7 for 10, outscored by 7 at the line, 70%. And Ricky Pierce was 6 of 6 for the Sonics from the line. 20-16 in assists. The Jazz led in that category. John Stockton, who's number 1 in the league, had 9 turnovers. Sonics 7 for 12 Jazz points. And the Jazz with 5 turnovers, and the Sonics capitalized for 11 points. Stockton leading the scoring with 15, Karl Malone 14, Jeff Malone 10. Ricky Pierce led the Sonics with 12. Benjamin and Johnson check in with 8 apiece. So we head to the third quarter of play. What do you expect in this period, Bob?
Well, I'll tell you, I think the Sonics, if they can toughen up that defense inside, Kevin, they're moving the ball well. You'll recall in the second quarter, they got most of their offense out of their half court and still shot 57%. If they can get more out of transition, toughen up the defense against the Jazz transition, I think they're right back in it.
Sonics were good from jump shooting range. Eddie Johnson 4 of 6 in the first half, and Ricky Pierce 3 of 5. High on the left, Nate McMillan. Crowd upwards of 19,911 expected here tonight. Hooping and hollering, the crowd into the game in the second quarter. Here's Pierce, slants off the Benjamin pick, goes to the hole and finishes with a lovely right-handed scoop. He's got 14. So the Sonics score off the pick and roll. Nice screen set by Benjamin. Sonics pull back within 2, 61-59. They trail by 10 late in the second period. Here's Stockton outside, yo-yos that dribble as if it's on a string with a left hand. Picks up the dribble. Payton with 3 fouls, swarms him. Down low to Karl Malone. Double teamed outside to Jeff. Bluffs the long shot. Takes it to the in line. Pull up from 13. Won't go. Rebound Gary Payton. He's got a 3-on-2. Flips it over to Pierce. Up fakes. Pierce draws Eaton out on him and then lobs it over Eaton to Payton to the glass. He lays it up and in. Boy, that was a heads-up play. And the Sonics on a 8-0 run since the, well, forget it. 61-61 the count. 10:57 to go in the third. Here's Stockton into the lane. Banged as he goes to the hole on a reverse. The foul is on Nate McMillan. That is the third on McMillan. And again, it is John Stockton drawing the foul and going to the line.
You want that run? It's 10-0. They were behind 61-51. It's now tied at 61. So the Sonics had a 10-0 run on them.
Quite a run here. Stockton to the line. I knew you'd have that, Bob. I knew you would.
Oh, I just keep those things in my hip pocket, Kevin, just in case you need something here and there.
Stockton hits the free throw. He's got 16. Second one up. Got it. Stockton on his way to Barcelona and the Olympics in the summer of '92.
End of run.
It's both free throws. 63-61. Jazz by a deuce. Here's Payton. On top it comes to Ricky Pierce. Covered by Jeff Malone. Fakes right, moves left. 15-footer. Rolls it up and bangs and clangs off. Rebound to Edwards. Edwards ahead to Jeff Malone. Jeff down the wing. Working off the dribble. They're forcing the ball into the hands of Jeff Malone if at all possible. Down low it goes to Karl Malone. Back to Stockton. Blocked beautifully by McMillan. His third block of the night. Payton will bring it the other way. Dashes to the inline. Circles by Eaton on the base. Reverses the pass over to Pierce. Back outside to Gary. In deep. Benjamin to the glass. Lays it up and in over Karl Malone. Big Ben's got 10. And boy, the Sonics working that ball around. Seattle and Utah tied at 63 all. Just underway here in the third period. 10:07 remaining. Again, it's Stockton off the Karl Malone pick. Stockton cuts hard to the head of the key, skips it over to Jeff Malone in the corner. Touch passes back outside to Stockton. Shakes right, moves left into the lane, splits the D, draws it outside of it to Karl Malone. Now to Edwards, 3 in the air, got it. Blue. Edwards has got 10. 66-63. Sonics trail by 3. Quickly Pierce. Forecourt right down to the baseline, covered by Edwards. Quick burst of speed. Pierce slants by him. Edwards reached in to poke it off the thigh of Pierce. We've got officials disagreeing now. Mark Wunderlich will step in. Initially, Nolan Fine was going to give it to the Jazz. Wunderlich says, nope, give it back to Seattle.
Well, he had the better view on it. There's no question. The Jazz have been getting a lot of breaks tonight. That was not a break. That was an obvious call that Wunderlich simply, or rather Fine, just simply missed on.
9:38 to go in the third quarter. Jazz 66 and the Sonics 63. McMillan on the baseline will bring it in bounds. Pierce comes to the ball, gets it on the inline, leans over Jeff Malone, high into the air with a jumper, missed it, rebound to Karl Malone. Puts it into the hands of John Stockton, and we've got a technical foul called. And this is on Ricky Pierce. Technical foul on Ricky Pierce.
I think Ricky thought he got fouled on that last shot. Ricky is normally a guy who doesn't complain much to the officials. If Ricky had something to complain about, I don't know what it was, because we may have gotten blocked up by Mark Eaton's body, but I think he had a legitimate beef.
Yeah, I think he was still griping about that last call that they made, and possibly wanted a foul on Blue Edwards when he made that cut into the lane. At any rate, Jeff Malone misses the free throw. Malone is an excellent free throw shooter, number 7 in the league behind this man, Ricky Pierce, who is number 2 in the league in free throw percentage. Jazz will bring it in bounds. Stockton leans on Payton. to get the ball out of backcourt. Will bring it across. Flips it to Jeff Malone high on the right. Now to Karl Malone. Open 18-footer. He'll let her fly, and he drilled it. The mailman's got 16. He had 10, remember, in the first quarter. The Sonics checked him well in the second period. 68-63. Jazz by 5. McMillan. Cross-court pass. Left-hand side of the key to Ricky Pierce. Looking for Ben. High on the left post, turns, faces up on Eaton, dribbles into the lane, takes a long step, flips one up on the roll to the hole with 12 feet between he and the lid, and knocks it down, nothing but cord. He's got a dozen. Boy, that was a nice little flip.
Benoit is not fast, but Eaton can't match him for speed either.
Nope, and he's not bashful. He took it in that time. 68-65. Jazz by 3, 8:50 to go in the third. Stockton outside. Payton just kind of hanging around, shadowing Stockton. Out beyond the three-point perimeter. Hesitation, left-hand dribble off the Karl Malone pick to the inline, reverses the pass. Over to Blue Edwards, and he nails a number 3. Another 3 for Blue Edwards. He's got 13 points. Coming in, he was 24-74, 32% from three-point range. Jazz lead by 6, 71-65. Here's Pierce outside of three-point land. Jab steps, now will hoist up the 3 over Edwards. This one rims off. Rebounded Jeff Malone. Malone's got a 3-on-2. Karl Malone filling the lane. Jeff skips it over to Edwards into the lane. A reverse up on the right hand, left it short. Rebound tap. Karl's got it up to the glass, lays it in. And George Karl wants a timeout. With 8:10 to go in the third, the Utah Jazz have snuck out to a lead of 8, 73-65 here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Back with the action, and this half of Sonics basketball being brought to you in part by your Puget Sound Volkswagen dealers. I don't know what those folks were doing. Here is Payton on the point, over to Cage on the baseline. Turned away by Karl on a slant to the lane. He hands off to Ricky Pierce, 11 on the shot clock. Outside, high on the right, Cage double team, now to Nate. Nate petty pat dribble right to left hand, trying to skip it, or actually trying to loop it over to Payton. Stockton reached up to swat it out of bounds. 4 on the shot clock now with the Sonics. Eddie Johnson stripping down the warm-ups. He will check in for Gary Payton at the 7:50 mark of the third. The Jazz lead 73-65. Pierce will swing it inbounds to Cage. Back to Ricky to the inline. Plants his feet. Leans in. Long jumper. Great rotation. Got it. Ricky Pierce. Nice little inbounds to get a quick basket with 4 on the shot clock. Sonics are within 6 at 73-67. Blue Edwards 2 3-pointers here in the third quarter got the Jazz the 8-point lead. Now here's a muffed feed from Stockton to Jeff Malone. Stolen by Pierce. Pierce trying to get after the ball. Had it tapped away, and Stockton fell on top of him on the floor, and they will simply rule it Seattle basketball. A lot of mayhem on that one, Bob.
A man's body falls on another man's body that hard. That should be a foul.
Well, they'll just give it to the Sonics. At least they got the ball back. Here's Johnson out beyond the three-point perimeter, faking the 3. Gives to Benjamin. Back to Eddie. Eddie beyond the three-point loop to Ricky. Double teamed out to Johnson. Leans in. 3 in the air. Left it short. Rebound grabbed by Stockton. Utah by 6. Stockton looking left and right, looking around. Dribbles to the free throw line. He is picked up by McMillan. Takes it to the baseline. Turned away by Nate. Stockton backpedals. Looking for the 2-man play. Looking to lob it inside to Karl Malone. Meantime, off the ball, a whistle. And illegal defense called on the Sonics.
I don't know whether that was Benoit or not. I was watching the ball on that play. Benoit has had probably a little bit more trouble than any of the Sonics in the quick switching assignments. I noticed in practice yesterday and today that he was a little bit, well, of course, sometimes he's the key man in there, too.
Jeff Malone misses the second free throw. He's missed another free throw. So he missed that technical foul shot.
I'm surprised they don't send John Stockton up there. To me, he's the guy in crunch time. I mean, let him go up there if you're going to, rely on somebody.
73-67, Jazz by 6. 6:57 to go in the third. Karl Malone threads a pass down on the end line. Jeff Malone tosses up a turnaround corkscrew hopper off the baseline. And Malone has got a dozen. Jeff, 75-67, 8-point lead now for the Jazz. Outside, Johnson with it. EJ has it tapped away by Blue Edwards and out of bounds. Last touch by Eddie. Edwards took a poke at it, and Johnson juggled it high over the head and lost it out of bounds. So Utah will take it on the Sonic turnover. Sonics have committed 8 turnovers for 12 Jazz points here in this game. 6:34 to go, third quarter. Stockton 2-man play. Karl Malone rushes inside with a thundering tomahawk jam. The Jazz have that 10-point lead back at 77-67. 6:29 to play in the third.
One thing about the Jazz getting big leads like this late in the ball game, they're a great half-court team. They can be tough to catch up with if they get too far ahead.
And defensively, they can really turn the screws on you. On the point, McMillan and Johnson lean in. Jumper won't go. Michael Cage snatches the rebound. He's in deep. He up fakes and Eaton reaches out with those long limbs of his to corral him, and the foul on Eaton will send Michael Cage to the line for 2.
Well, Michael is always doing a good job on those offensive boards. He's one of the really good offensive rebounders. He had that beautifully timed. That, of course, he had 3 guys around him, and Mark Eaton hovering right over him. No question there was a foul as he went up with his shot.
Sonics trail by 10. 6:14 left in the third. Free throws. Well, the Sonics have got to treat them as if they are very, very precious and hard to come by, and that certainly has been the case. The Sonics now are 8 of 11 from the line, while the Jazz have been living up there. They are 16 of 19. Michael's second free throw up. He got it. Gage has got 8. The Sonics have trimmed it to 8. 6:13 to go in the third. 77-69. Now here are the Jazz with John Stockton in control. The pick from Karl Malone. Sneaks up on McMillan. Stockton heads to the end line. He is double teamed. Circles back outside on the dribble. 11 on the shot clock for Stockton. Picks up his dribble. Stockton extends his body, skips it low to Karl Malone, fakes the pass in the lane, goes into the lane, hurls to the glass, lays it up. He is fouled. Basket will count, and Karl Malone will head to the free throw line with 22 big ones, 8 here in the quarter.
You know, Malone likes to work off of that spot out there in the wing, just very short. He likes to get his man one-on-one, backs in, pivots, comes in. He got hooked on the left arm before he was in the move of going to the hoop, and Cage got him on the arm there.
So he can put the Jazz up with their largest lead of the night with a free throw here. And he eyes it, flies it, stepped away and missed it short. Rebounded McMillan. Malone was backpedaling that time as he flipped up the free throw. Jazz by 10. 5:47 to go in the third. McMillan backpedals down the wing. Kemp comes over to pick. Karl Malone jumps out of McMillan. Give it back to Sean. He glides in with a two-handed rim-rattling jam. Sean has got 9. So the Sonics come right back with a little power two-man play to pull with an 8. Stockton out on the wing. This time looking for Edwards inside. They'll clear out for Stockton. They'll dribble drive into the lane. Stripped of the ball beautifully by McMillan. Rams into Jeff Malone, but manages to muscle it free ahead to Pierce. In he comes. Pull up Jay. Got it. Ricky Pierce with 18 points. What a strip that was by McMillan. How did he do that? He just took it right out of Stockton's hands on the baseline drive. Now John Stockton again will challenge McMillan on the wing. Give it to Karl Malone in the key. Takes it rumbling, stumbling down the right side. His shot is blocked by Kemp. It's grabbed by Eddie Johnson in a foot race with Edwards. He'll beat him to the glass. Lay it up and good. He is fouled. And Eddie Johnson will head to the free throw line. A chance at a three-point play. That would put the Sonics to within 5.
Fans are yelling on that last one, booing, but Eddie Johnson on a nice full-length drive that time, following that steal, and Stockton reached out and grabbed him. I tell you what, though, if the fans really want to see a replay, I think they should have seen that extra step that Karl Malone took on his drive up the paint on that last play.
Oh, that was a tremendous block by Sean Kemp that time. All ball as Kemp muscled it away from Malone to get the drive started. Now here's Johnson to the line. He lays it up and in on the free throw. Eddie's got 11. 79-76. Sonics pulled, what I say a moment ago, 4. It's 3. 79-76. 4:50 to go in the third. Eric Murdoch, the rookie from Providence, outside, giving John Stockton a breather. Murdoch working beyond the three-point line with a left-hand dribble. Murdoch looking on the baseline. 7 on the shot clock. Over to Karl Malone. Works in on Johnson. Eddie comes in and chops him with a foul, sending Karl Malone to the line. Eddie was a little upset that time because Karl Malone simply grabbed him and moved him right out from his perch inside.
Yeah, there was no question that Eddie Johnson fouled Malone, but Malone had fouled him to get that position, which he got, and of course he didn't get called on that one.
Karl rarely does down on the low blocks. That is his turf, his domain. The officials seem to sense it, and they give him a lot of leeway inside, as they did that time. Malone's free throw is good. Karl Malone with 23 points. The mailman averages 28 a game. He's number 3 in the league, behind Michael Jordan and the injured Dominique Wilkins. He's number 8 in rebounding, 11 a contest. Does it all in 37 minutes a night here in the NBA. He's an Iron Man. Second free throw. Got it. Karl Malone with 24. The mailman with 10 in the period. 81-76. Jazz by 5. 4:33 to go in the third. Gary Payton in the lineup. Spins down the far side. Takes Murdoch into the paint. Dishes outside to Cage. Hands off on the exchange to Pierce. Ricky out beyond the three-point perimeter. Covered by Jeff Malone. 10 on the shot clock. Cage to pick. Ricky works off of it. Double team. Loops it back over to Michael. Got to get off a shot. He'll give it to Johnson. Circles into the lane to the glass. Off balance. Jumper is fouled. And Eddie will go to the line on the foul to Karl Malone. Thank you, Mr. Malone, says Eddie Johnson. With 2 on the shot clock, he got off the best shot he could, but they will send him to the line for 2 free throws.
Well, the 2 veterans, sometimes Johnson and Pierce do force plays. In a case like that, they're 1 of 2 guys you want to have making that penetration because they're the most apt to probably draw the foul.
Eddie Johnson with a dozen. EJ in his last 2 games has scored 26 against Minnesota and 29 in the win over Portland. He leads the team in scoring in the last 3 straight. Johnson's second one up, got it. Eddie with 13 for the ball game. He and Ricky Pierce have been the guys. Pierce with his 18. Big Ben has picked up 12 in the middle. Jazz by 3, 81-78. 4:06 to go in the third. This is a beauty. Murdoch. Over to Malone, a change of pace, left-hand dribble, cuts into the lane, lean back, shot from the paint, won't go, rebound to Cage. Out to Dana Barros, ahead to Gary Payton. Drop step, spin to the inline on the roll. Double teamed out to Cage, pull up 15-footer, yes! Michael Cage has got 10. Set up beautifully by Gary Payton, and the Sonics rally from 10 back again to pull within 1 at the break. 3:47 to go in the third here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. John Stockton drive to the basket. Watch the strip of Nate McMillan a few moments ago. Is that beautiful or what? He took it cleanly right out of the hands. It led to a fast break basket for the SuperSonics.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Nate is so valuable. Even when he doesn't put up numbers, he goes in defenses. Usually the other team's top scorer, whether he's a guard or a forward. He's done a great job tonight going both ways.
2 Big East products. Boston College, Dana Barros, and against Providence's Eric Murdoch. Murdoch the feed to Karl Malone to the glass. He banks it in. Malone is fouled. Malone is the go-to guy. 26 points, 12 here in the period for Karl Malone, who stands at the line.
Well, here again, Malone just puts his shoulder down like a bull in a china shop, where he gets that latitude, as you mentioned, in that paint territory, which he calls his. You know, the Sonics for the game are shooting 59%. They've shot better than 50%. Only 10 of their last 46 ball games. Are shooting the ball well tonight. Going to have to toughen up that D a little bit.
Karl hits a free throw, 27 for Malone. 13 here in the period. And the Jazz lead by 4, 84-80. Sonics came from 10 back to pull within 1 at 81-80 a few moments ago. Down deep, it is Kemp. Double teamed, out to Barros. Sets his feet for 3, won't take it. Dribble drive inside. Hands to Kemp. Outside to Barros. 9 on the shot clock. Kemp to pick for Barros. Slants into the key. Hands to Johnson. Over to Kemp. 5 on the shot clock. Long J. Left it short. Rebound battle on the baseline. Who's going to get it? Michael Brown spins away from Benjamin, who was on his back. The foul called by Danny Crawford is the second, tagged on by Benjamin. And the Jazz will shoot free throws here in the third period.
Well, again, that was a hard drive. Hey, I'm not so sure that Brown didn't foul Benjamin, shoving him back out of it. That was kind of almost a double foul, if you will.
It's unfortunate that the Sonics had Barros and Johnson with their hands on the basketball.
Yeah.
Time coming down on the shot clock, but it was Kemp who took the shot from about 15 feet out.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. The guy that you want to take that shot, but both of them were pretty well covered. I mean, I have to give credit for that. So that's why Kemp got it, and he was open.
Brown hits the free throw. Michael with a half dozen for the game. Tough customer, now in his 6th year. He's giving Mark Eaton a breather. And Brown's free throw is good. He hit them both. Jazz by 6, 86-80. 3:07 to go in the third. Payton outside, over to Johnson, up the Kemp pick, baseline floater. Got it. Eddie Johnson, standstill jumper extraordinary. He's got 15. 7 here in the quarter for EJ. Murdoch works down the wing. Barros on his hip. Murdoch stops outside, feeds to Jeff Malone. Ball tapped off his hands and out of bounds. Malone simply could not handle the pass. He was within 5 feet of Murdoch, and they bobbled the handoff. Seattle will take it on the Jazz. Turnover. 2:47 left in the third. Johnson again comes off the pick of Benjamin. Sweeps an underhander in the lane. Missed it. Benjamin follows it up and in. He is fouled, and the basket will count. Big Ben will head to the charity stripe with the Sonics trailing by a deuce.
Well, here again, that's a value, having guys crashing to the offensive boards. Ben did a great job getting inside that time and was in a perfect position for that putback. Now a chance at a 3-point play. If he makes it, Sonics will be down by 1.
Foul is on Tyrone Corbin. That is his second. 2:41 to go in the third. And Benjamin hits the free throw. Seattle within 1 point of tying this ball game. The Jazz have possession. Murdoch working across midcourt. Eric Murdoch. Good, smooth ball handler, a tremendous defensive player. Takes it right-hand side of the key, skips it on the baseline. Turning and firing is Corbin. He got the baseline shade. Corbin's got 8. And the Jazz by 3. Quickly comes Payton hustling in a forecourt over to Barros. His lead pass in deep, juggled, picked up by Benjamin. Over to Kemp for the wide-open jam. So in the scramble for that loose ball, the Sonics win out there, and Sean Kemp gets the highest percentage shot in basketball. Pull the Sonics within 1. 2:07 to go in the third.
You don't diagram a play like that, but it sure worked perfectly.
It sure helps. Here's Murdoch. It's fired up Jerry Sloan on that Utah bench. He wanted a foul. Murdoch, sidearm pass over to Corbin. Skip it low to the mailman. Outside to Murdoch. Sets his feet. 3-point in the air. Missed it badly. Rebound. Sean Kemp. The outlet pass tapped away by Karl Malone. It's loose to midcourt. Ball tapped away into the hand of Murdoch. Bumped at midcourt by Payton. And a foul called on Gary Payton. That is the 4th foul on Gary. Jazz will take a free throw or two here with Murdoch at the line. 1:46 to go in the 3rd. The Jazz leading by 1, 88-87.
That's too bad. You get that close, and all of a sudden it just breaks. The game breaks in the other way. Sonics again erasing that 10-point deficit, knocking it down to only 1 point. Very much in this ball game. Late in this 3rd quarter, it should be a heck of a 4th.
Karl Malone just did get the fingertips on that outlet pass. Took a wild slap at it and managed to draw a little leather. And that, of course, allowed the Jazz to get a crack at it. Murdoch picking it up and going to the line, missing the first one. Eric Murdoch reloads on the second one. Up, and he missed them both. Rebound. Sean Kemp, Big Ben, sky into the air, and Ben muscles it away from his teammate. Sonics will bring it up. Jazz by 1, 88-87. Big possession here, 1:37 to go in the 3rd. Payton over to Barrows. Loop it low to Sean. Sean about 14 feet from the hole, out to Dana. In the air, a 3. He'll let it fly. He got it. Dana Barrows has got 8. The tray for Dana puts the Sonics on top by 2 after trailing by 10. 90-88. 1:20 to go in the 3rd. Murdoch off the pick of Malone. A severe mismatch on the blind side. Payton reaches in, taps it away from Karl Malone. Johnson's got it. Slants into the lane and draws the foul on the way to the basket. He will step up for 2 on the foul to Tyrone Corbin. A tremendous play by Payton, who hustled over, Bob, from the weak side to tap that ball away from Karl Malone.
Yeah, well, again, as we say, you know, defense is what usually turns the ball game around. Again, that great play by Payton on that. Sonics get it, move up court. Eddie Johnson just takes it all the way in. Yeah, he was having trouble on that fast break, finding anybody to pass to. He was a little off balance, too. But with the Sonics breaking into the lead for the first time since early in the 2nd quarter, John Malone comes back to the rescue. The fireman is back in there.
And here is Johnson with another free throw. Eddie was 16 tonight. Missed the second one. Rebound, Michael Brown. 91-88. Sonics have rallied from 10 back to take a 3-point lead with 1:04 to go in the 3rd. John Stockton outside working on Dana Barrows. Stockton looking for Karl Malone, rushing to the ball, fronted, denied the pass by Payton. He's going to need some weak side help, but Stockton can get it down there. Barrows leaning on Stockton, forcing him to loop it high. Malone will catch and shoot and roll it in. He is fouled, and he will go to the line. And George Karl came springing off that seat like jumping Jack Flash. He can't believe the call. A foul inside on Benjamin is his 3rd. It sends Karl Malone to the line.
Tell you what, though, Kevin, the Sonics were lucky in a way they didn't get an illegal defense call, because Sean Kemp was dropping back in that lane, and the ball had not yet gone in. Well, I don't know about that replay on that one. That looked like a pretty good play.
Well, George Karl really getting in some licks on Danny Crawford down in front of that Sonic bench. He turns away, walks to the corner, now walks up the line with some more words for Danny Crawford, and he's given him an icy glare. Karl Malone will go to the line. 29 points for Malone, 15 here in the 3rd period. Boy, Georgie is still chewing on Danny Crawford. Now George walks out in front of his own bench as Karl Malone hits the free throw. Karl's got 30, and I think George has got a case. 91 all the count. 46 seconds to go in the 3rd. Outside, it's Gary Payton, high on the left side, working the point. He is covered by Stockton. Big Ben coming out to pick. Standing astride the 3-point line. Now Benjamin will come down low. They'll double pick for Johnson. He slants outside. Barrows will hit Johnson with 8 on the shot clock. Johnson down low. Kemp turns in the lane. Tried to muscle by. Malone tapped on the floor. Kemp will scoop it up. Banks one up from 5. Rims off. Rebound to Corbin. 22 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. Jazz and the Sonics tied at 91 all. 16 seconds remaining as Stockton clears the equator across midcourt. Yo-yos the dribble. Spreads the floor. Jeff Malone and Karl Malone in the far corner. Brown and Corbin in the left corner. Stockton into the lane. Dribble drive. Up he comes. Kemp swats it out of there. Right to Barrows. Ahead to Johnson. Eddie will not get off the shot in time. The scoop shot nearly went in, but it was not in time. That ends the 3rd period of play in Salt Lake City. 91 all as we go to the home stretch on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. We're tied at 91 all in the 4th quarter in Salt Lake City. The Sonics and the Jazz. Scores around the NBA now on the 7-Eleven scoreboard. Jersey upsets Portland and New Jersey 98-96 tonight. Elsewhere 104-97 Detroit at home over Milwaukee. Charlotte prevails over Philly in a big way 136-84. Can you believe that? Charlotte has been hot. 124-103. San Antonio wins at home tonight over Golden State. 26-24 New York leading Sacramento. That in the 2nd quarter of play. Ball juggled far side, tapped away. Stockton losing it and scooping it up off the floor is Kemp. He's doubled and tied up for a jump ball, and he is drawn a technical foul. He spiked the ball on the floor, and a technical foul has been called on Sean.
Yeah, it's interesting. He spiked it off of his foot. It's usually when it bounces up. They say if it goes a certain elevation, they're going to call you the foul. In this particular case, he got, well, they didn't get the replay on that, but they called a technical, so nothing you can do about it.
Stockton hits the free throw. Stockton has 18 points. Now the Sonics forced the turnover they wanted to begin the period, but it got free on the floor. Sean picked it up. He was waiting for help. He was double teamed. And actually, his teammates ran away from him. Nobody stuck around and stayed at home to get that ball. So after the technical foul, Stockton hit the free throw. Now we will jump it. Kemp settles into the circle against Blue Edwards. This kid's got springs. Edwards at 6'5". Here's the tap one easily by Kemp, who is maybe the highest jumping big man in the league. Flips it outside to Barrows. Dana will work the point of the early going here for Seattle. Now Payton will rush out here. Fake a pick. Barrows gives to Johnson beyond the three-point perimeter. 11:23 to go. We're in the fourth quarter. Johnson's jumper is off the mark. He was undercut there by Tyrone Corbin. The foul on Corbin is his fourth. It will send EJ to the line for what, for Eddie Johnson anyway, should be a couple of easy free throws. He's shooting 84%, and tonight has hit 4 out of 5 from the line.
You know, Kevin, in advance, you and I both figured the way the Sonics have been working hard this weekend with the Jazz on their home court, both teams really ready mentally for this game and physically, and it has been, as we anticipated, one excellent basketball game.
I think the biggest beneficiary of the time off was Ricky Pierce, who told me before the game tonight that that right toe, the big toe, feels 100%, and he has produced 18 points, and he's getting ready to check in for the Sonics. Here's Stockton, double teamed at midcourt, slips it ahead of Carmelone, 15 feet from the hole, free throw line right. He'll give it outside to Stockton. Sonics lead by 1, 93-92. Stockton low to Blue Edwards, double teamed over to Corbin. Looking to spin it off on a pass, dribbles in deep, missed the shot, rebound to Sean Kemp. 10:58 to go in the game. Sonics by 1, Payton across midcourt, flashes right side, stops, pivots, looks for help, out to Dana. Barrows has drilled 2 3-pointers already tonight, covered by Stockton closely. Kemp comes out to pick. Barrows shoots off the screen, and illegal defense is called on the Utah Jazz. And this time, Mark Eaton's not around to blame anymore, Bob. They're going to call it on Michael Brown of the Jazz.
Well, he's not around on that one, but as it was called, he was on the sidelines, and that big body of his gets up. And all 7'4", 290 pounds of Mark Eaton is back in the game. Oh, Eddie, come on.
Eddie missed the technical foul shot. Eddie Johnson is 6 of 8 from the line. Mark Eaton will now come in and make his presence known. 7'4", it's hard to miss him. 10:44 to go, third quarter play. 93-92. Karl Malone will be coming off for what probably will be a wild final 7 minutes of play. Here's Payton on the point. Flips it over to Johnson. Cuts into the lane. Picks up the dribble. Loops it up. Ball tapped away by Eaton. Grabbed by Johnson. Outside 16 on the shot clock. Barrows over to EJ. Up fake. Slants into traffic. Gives off to Payton. Plants his feet. Hurls it off over Eaton. It rims short. Rebound to Stockton. Or I should say Corbin. Now to Stockton. Back to Corbin. Runs the glass. He wing walks in with an underhand finger roll. Corbin has got 10. 94-93. Jazz by 1. 10:15 to go in the game. Payton down the flank. Covered by Stockton out beyond the three-point perimeter. Comes out to Benjamin Pick. He'll challenge Eaton. Reverses the pass. Baseline right to Cage. Out to Dana. 3 in the air. He got another one. Holy cow. Dana's got 11 as he drills another three-pointer, his third of the night. 96-94. Sonics by a deuce. 9:53 to go in the fourth. Stockton outside, looking at a double team. Cage and Payton pick him up. Rotated to Brown. Muscles to the glass and lays it in. Brown has got 9. Back come the Sonics. Payton looks it ahead. Cage will run under it. Hands off on a skip pass outside to Johnson. EJ into the paint. Jump passes to Payton. He'll challenge Eaton. Glides one up off the mark. Tapped outside. In the rush for the ball, we've got a foul called on the Sonics. This will be on Benoit Benjamin. It is his fourth. 9:31 to go in the game. Jazz and the Sonics tied at 96.
Boy, I'll tell you, the way the teams are fighting for the ball, though, it's no surprise that a foul of some kind is called in there. That was a collision of 2 guys going after the ball, both coming together about the same time. Hard to say who fouled whom, but Ben did get it, and so the Jazz with a tie have the ball. And here we go, Kevin.
George Karl will bring in Ricky Pierce for Eddie Johnson. Eddie leads the contest with 18, and Ricky checks in with 18. Stockton outside, off the Michael Brown pick. Takes Barrows down deep right-hand side. Hurls up the running right-hander over Benjamin. No go. Rebound tapped outside. Barrows has got it. Dana Barrows will sprint out of back court with 9:14 to go. Plants his feet for a 3. Won't take it. Feeds off to the trailer Benjamin, and now DB will get it back. He'll fling it high on the left side. With it is Payton. Looking down deep. Cage pumps out for the pick. Gliding off the screen is Payton. The reverse pass. A push on the pass off down there by Delaney Rudd, who was just checked in. That is Rudd's first foul. Second team foul on the Jazz here of the fourth quarter of play.
It's important that the Sonics don't get way behind in the team foul situation the way the Jazz have been going to the foul line a lot tonight. That was a big foul because of that.
Pierce will bring it inbounds now to Payton. Pierce cutting off the Benjamin pick. Jammed in traffic. Now settles down on the baseline as Dana has it out beyond the three-point line. Now gives it to Ricky, and Corbin bumped him from behind on the exchange. That is Corbin's fifth. It is the third team foul on the Jazz at the 8:50 mark of the ball game.
That could be a very, very big factor. It is such a close game, and if the Sonics can somehow, because it has been a physical game, it's not been a game of a whole lot of turnovers by either team. It's been a well-played game, but if the Sonics can get some kind of an edge here, it'll help.
96 all is our count. 8:47 to go in the game. McMillan checking in now for the Sonics. Feeds it out to Dana Barros. Barros working on Delaney Rudd out beyond the three-point perimeter. Gets a Pierce pick, heads into the lane, loops it outside to Nate McMillan with 10 on the shot clock. Give it to Michael Cage. Floats it cross court to Barros. 6 on the shot clock to Big Ben. Outside to Pierce. Up fake with 3. 15-footer away. Rims high into the air. Who's going to get it? Michael Cage, I believe, pushed inside on Michael Brown. And the foul indeed is on Michael. That is his third. It is the second team foul on the Seattle SuperSonics.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's a nasty place to be in that paint tonight, I'll tell you.
George Carl he is really working the officials tonight. He has done a magnificent job with his team. He is 10-5. 96 all. 8:14 to go in the fourth quarter. Stockton out beyond the three-point perimeter. Picks up the dribble. Covered by Barros. Stockton feathers a pass in deep to Michael Brown. Offensive foul called on Brown. He pushed off on Cage to get open. Sonics take it back.
Well, that's a turnover. It doesn't go on the team fouls, as most knowledgeable basketball fans know, but it is a turnover and a chance for the Sonics to break the tie their way.
96 all. 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. McMillan with a left-hand dribble down the flank. Give it high on the right to Big Ben. He's double teamed outside of McMillan. Back to Ben. Plants his feet. Turnaround baseliner. Oh, he nearly hit it. It rims off. Rebound pity patted by Cage. He can't get a handle on it. Edwards grabs it in backcourt. Now Stockton will bring it across. Stockton slowly outside, works a left-hand dribble. Anytime he can make a quick burst, he will into the lane. Shovels it to Edwards. High 10, 12-foot push shot won't go. Edwards a rebound in traffic. No. Tapped away from behind. Michael's got it. Out to Dana Barros. Glides by Stockton across midcourt over to Ricky. Nice pass in the lane to the glass. McMillan glides to the glass and lays it in. And that is tonight's Sonics instant replay. Seattle with a 2-point lead, 98-96. 7:23 to go in the game. Stockton outside off the Mike Brown pick into the lane. Stockton stops. Kick to Edwards. He will go up and jam it home. And Edwards throws a right hand at Michael Cage, and I think we are going to have a little fracas breaking out here. Michael Cage wants a piece of Blue Edwards, and Edwards wants to go at Michael. George Carl restrains Blue Edwards. Mark Wunderlich, one of our 3 officials, steps in front of Michael Cage. The 2 made a little contact after Blue Edwards threw that jam down for 15 points, and then Edwards from behind threw a right hand at Michael that grazed his flank.
All right, here's Edwards on the shot coming down. But he did get a little push from Cage, and they got to push back. So let's see how they call the foul, whether it's going to be a double technical or which.
Well, it was a shove from Blue Edwards from behind. And we've got a double technical called by the official, Mark Wunderlich. Now George Carl is going to draw the technical foul. George has drawn his first technical foul as a coach of the Sonics. He is livid. And it has been building up and pent up through 3 quarters and finally unleashed here in the fourth period at the 7:13 mark. 98-98 the count. Now Michael Cage comes out. He's got some words for the officials. George, I guess, figured that he had one to give here, Bob. One technical foul to give, standing up for his guys. And maybe that's the fire that they need here with 7:13 to go on the home stretch.
That's true, but you have to wonder, with the score tied at 98, was it a smart technical at that time? I don't know. It may turn out to be. It may not. It's only a 1-point situation right now as Stockton makes it, but that does give the Jazz the lead. Sonics will have the ball.
Yeah, I think it's something that you give them the 1 point to send a message to the officials and to fire your club up. Not that the Sonics need any fire at this point, but it sure would help to give him any kind of boost with 7:11 to go in the game. McMillan backpedals down the flank, covered by Stockton. McMillan and Stockton tangle up. McMillan spins away into the lane, tapped away from behind by Stockton. Grabbed by Edwards. Here come the Jazz on the break. Stockton in line right to run outside to Edwards. He drains the pull-up jumper. Blue Edwards has got 17. He's a fired-up camper right now. Jazz by 3, 101-98. 6:45 to go in the game. Jazz trying to protect their home turf. Pierce off the pick. Long ball, missed it. Rebound Delaney Rudd. Hands off to Stockton. Karl Malone is in the lineup for the Jazz. Malone with 30 points tonight at 16 back in the third quarter. Stockton works out beyond the three-point perimeter. Now to the head of the key. Flips it over to Edwards. He's hot. Sets his feet. Turns. Fires. Whips it up. Missed it short. Eaton taps it. Grabbed by Dana Barros. Jazz by 3. 101-98. Here comes Dana. Pulls up from three-point land. Won't take it. Outside to Cage. He'll rotate it now to Big Ben. Now over to McMillan. Far flank. Down deep it comes to Pierce. Posted up right side. He'll draw the double team. Barros open beyond the three-point line. Ricky will slant into the lane. Running right-hander in the air. Got it. Ricky Pierce. Pierce with 20 for the ball game. 101-100. Jazz by 1. 5:57 to go here in the fourth quarter. We'll get a timeout. Call your buddies. Call your girlfriend. Call your grandma. Tell them the Sonics are hooked up in a beauty. Stockton skips it low to Delaney Rudd. Blew the lay-in. Rebound to Cage. Out it comes to McMillan. Nate across midcourt with it. Gives to Ben. Oh, he just got across the 10-second line. No, he didn't. They say he jumped from backcourt to forecourt when he made the catch. And the Jazz will take it back on a bad turnover. 5:36 remaining in the game. A timeout is called. Jazz by 1 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. 101-100. The Jazz lead the Sonics by 1. 5:36 to go in a beauty here from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City,
There's
Utah.
one thing I'm sorry. Dana Barros has gone to the bench. Dana is 4 for 4 tonight. He is 3 for 3 three-point range. I think the Sonics should have run some more plays for him to get that three-pointer.
Stockton doubled out high. Will split the defense. Flips it over to Edwards in the corner. Out to Jeff Malone. Over to Karl Malone. Working one-on-one. Jab stepping. He'll get up in the jumper. 15-footer floated up. Got it. The mailman with 32. Airmail. 103-100. Jazz by 3. 5:15 to go in the game. McMillan across midcourt. Checked by Stockton. Right-hand side of the key. McMillan picks up the dribble. Skips it over to E.J. Johnson twists and shakes to the inline. Pull-up jumper off balance. He's fouled. Hacked over there by Blue Edwards. And it will send Eddie Johnson to the line on the foul to Blue Edwards, who has been one fired-up dude. He hit a couple of threes back in the third quarter that helped the Jazz to a 10-point spread. Of course, the Sonics cut into that in a hurry, and by the end of the third, it tied it at 91 all. Right now, here's Johnson at the line to get the Sonics back within 1 with 5 minutes to go in the contest. And Eddie drills the first one.
Kevin, this might be the time for the Sonics to get a little more aggressive. They have now put the Jazz at the limit of 14 fouls with 5:02 to play. Go to the line if you can.
Good point. Johnson, second one, floats it up. Got it. E.J. with 20. 103-102. Jazz by 1. 4:59 to go in a tight one. Stockton, left-hand side, high. They're going to clear out for Stockton. Bring Karl Malone to the ball. He whirls to the inline. Kemp trying to get out in front of him. Malone fending him off with the left hand. Gets it low. Double team. Slings it outside. Edwards, a good three-point threat. He'll slash to the glass. Tried to feed off to Malone. Knocked down. Ball loose. McMillan's got it. Here is Nate McMillan. Ahead to E.J. Pull up. Outside to Nate. Cross court to Ricky. Wants the ball. Slants in. Bumped in the collision. Pierce and Stockton get together, and Stockton draws the foul. There's the foul you wanted, Bob.
Well, you might as well get aggressive. Like I say, you have that advantage in your favor right now. Take it, especially when you have free throw shooters like Ricky Pierce and Eddie Johnson both in the ball game.
Ricky in 25 minutes tonight has hit 7 out of 14 from the field, 6 of 6 from the line. Ricky Pierce with 20 points to tie the game with 4.5 minutes to play. Rims and falls in. 21 for Ricky. The Jazz have only been beaten twice here at home. The last loss to the New York Knicks back on the 27th of January. They are 26-2, have the best home record in the league. And Ricky Pierce has put the Sonics 1 point ahead of the Jazz at the 4:32 mark of the game here in Salt Lake City, Utah. 104-103 is your count. Stockton feeds right wing Malone. Top side Karl Malone. Nice pass inside. Edwards slams to the glass and lays it up and in. Nice feed from the mailman. 19 for Blue Edwards. He's been a factor in this game. Now Gary Payton will pump it across. Seattle down by 1. 4:09 to go in the game. Payton with it outside beyond the three-point perimeter. Gary Payton hits Ricky Pierce, popping out, covered by Malone. 1-on-1, works him to the inline. Pull up Jay for Ricky. Got it. Raining down jumpers. 24 for Ricky Pierce. Man, I tell you, Jeff Malone didn't have a chance on that one. 105. Sonics by 1, 106-105, 3:48 to go in the game. Stockton picks up his dribble outside, pivots. Skips a high one to Karl Malone. He'll catch it right-hand side of the key. 10 on the shot clock for the mailman. Delivers the goods outside to Stockton. Runs to the baseline. Looking at a double team. Backpedals. Hits Jeff Malone coming through on a weave. Pierce gets in his face. But Jeff Malone comes back with a big bomb. Jeff Malone sinks the J. He's got 14. And the Jazz have the lead back. 107 to 106. 3:23 to go in the game. Payton on the point. Chest passes over to Eddie Johnson. Stands astride the three-point perimeter. Takes Edwards deep into the lane. Double teamed over to Cage. Nearly bobbled it. Picks it up. Loops it outside on a jump pass to Johnson. He'll unleash a three. Won't go. Kemp directs it toward the glass. It comes into the hands of Mark Eaton. The Jazz have a 1-point lead. And we've got Karl Malone and Michael Cage chatting at midcourt. Mark Wunderlich comes sprinting in to separate the two. Now we've got Shawn Kemp and Karl Malone with a discussion.
I think they were just calmly discussing the situation that Karl had going with Michael, and I tell you, Michael will not back down from him.
107 to 106. The Jazz lead the Sonics by 1. 3 minutes to go in the game. Stockton crossover left to right, hand dribble into the lane. He's bumped and fouled. This is on Gary Payton. It is the 5th on Gary, and it will send Stockton to the line after the timeout. 2:56 to go here in the ball game. And the score, Jazz 107, Sonics 106 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. The Jazz lead the Sonics in a beauty, 107 to 106. 2:56 left in the game here in Salt Lake City, Utah. The Jazz with the lead and now the leather.
6 free throws have helped keep the Sonic in it. They've cooled off field goal wise. 4 for 11 in this fourth. The Jazz still hot, 7 for 15.
Stockton works one-on-one outside on Payton. They isolate and bring Karl now to the ball. Malone down low, has it deep on Kemp, turns, fall away baseliner, rims around, falls off. Cage went high into the air. Edwards from behind bumped him, and the foul on the loose ball is on Blue Edwards. Loose ball foul on Blue will send Michael Cage to the line. And here are the Sonics now with a chance to take the lead at the line. 2:43 remaining in the fourth quarter. Before the break, the initial indication was that Stockton would go to the line on a shooting foul. They subsequently changed it to a pass-off, and that's why you didn't see Stockton standing at the line as we got action going after the break. So here now is Michael Cage at the line with 2 huge free throws. And he floats the first one up, and it is short.
You know, Michael is only 2 out of 5 tonight at the line, and unfortunately, he is one guy on the team whose free throw shooting has gone down. The Sonics 4th in the league at the foul line, but Michael has dipped to 59%.
Cage tonight with 10 points, 7 rebounds, missed the free throw. The second one grabbed by Eaton. Here are the Jazz now with a 1-point lead, 2:38 to go in the ball game. Stockton across, covered by Payton. Stockton looking inside for Karl Malone. Sandwich, double team. They give it to Edwards. Up fakes from 15. Glides under Kemp, who reached around from behind to strip it away. But a foul is called on Shawn Kemp, who had a little body on Blue Edwards. And the Blue man steps to the line out of East Carolina. He was a tremendous scorer in his college days. Now in his 3rd year, he has 19 for the game.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that the Sonics staff said they had to key in on tonight, and that's one of the reasons they had McMillan on him to start with. And he got 0 points on Nate back in that first quarter.
But he has been busy. Hit a couple of big threes in the 3rd quarter to lead the Jazz to a 10-point lead that the Sonics wiped out, tying it at 91 all after 3. Edwards' second one missed it. It's a 2-point margin for the Jazz. 108-106. 2:24 to go in the ball game. Quickly, George Karl wheels to the bench and shouts the name of Nate McMillan. He is up as the Sonics have it. 4-court right with 2:16 to go in the game. Payton feeds outside to Pierce. Covered by Jeff Malone. Pierce off the Kemp pick. Picked up on a jump switch. Malone slides through. Kemp comes over the screen again. Ricky handling with 4. With 3. Payton got to get off a shot with 2. With 1 he will. He'll flip it up off the rim. Grabbed inside. Karl Malone. Jazz have a 2-point lead and now possession. With 1:58 to go in the ball game. 108-106. Jazz did a tremendous job to deny Ricky Pierce an open shot coming off that pick. Here's Stockton again with Payton. Inside Malone has position. Stockton floats it to Karl Malone. Double teamed outside Edwards for a 2-pointer. He was on the line. Rims off. Rebound to Pierce. 1:37 to go in the game. Pierce across midcourt gives to Kemp. Over to Johnson. Back to Shawn. Into the lane. Jammed up. Stockton strips it free. Eddie picks it up and rattles one in. Eddie Johnson from the baseline. 22 points for EJ. 108-108. 1:26 left in the game. Now Jeff Malone will bring it to midcourt. Malone looks to the bench. Jerry Sloan gives him instructions. Malone will handle it on the point. Karl Malone comes out to pick. Jeff comes off the screen. Picked up by Cage. Over to Edwards. Back to Jeff Malone. Sets his feet. Skies one up, missed it. Rebound to Gary Payton. 1:07 to go in the game. Tied at 1:08. Payton delivers the goods to Pierce. Sideline right, covered by Karl Malone. Down low, posting up Cage Douglas. He picks up the dribble. He needs help. Tried to skip it off to Pierce. Went off the leg of Eaton. And out of bounds. Seattle will take it back. 12 on the shot clock. 56 seconds to go here in the ball game, tied at 1:08 apiece.
And George Karl, coach, still working the officials, yelling down to Dan that it was that's Danny Crawford. He said that was a kick. We should get 24.
Well, they won't. They'll get 12, but Johnson will bring it in bounds. McMillan checks in now for Michael Cage, another passer, another sure-handed ball handler. Payton working outside with 6 with 5. He's got to do something with it. A quick burst of speed into the lane. Stops. Bumps into Stockton. Banks one up. Won't go. Rebound. Tap. Malone saves it. Right to Pierce. Up. He skipped it off glass and in. Ricky Pierce with 26. 110 to 108. 40 seconds to go in the ball game. Sonics by 2. Stockton across midcourt. Outside gets a pick from Karl Malone. Misdirection. Left-hand side. Picked up on a jump switch by Kemp. Stockton picks it up. Heads to Edwards into the air. Long jumper. Got it. Tie game again. 22 for Blue. 26 seconds remaining in the contest. Sonics have possession. Tied at 110-110. Back in a moment on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Eddie Johnson a moment ago, the jump shot in the scramble to tie the game. A look at the great play brought to you by Colt Coulter, Miller Genuine Draft, taking the country by storm. We're tied at 110-110. 26 seconds to go in the game. Kemp, Payton, and McMillan in backcourt. The Jazz will come down to set up. Malone and Stockton will meet him at midcourt. Eaton in the middle. Jeff Malone down low along with Blue Edwards. Johnson and Pierce are the wings for Seattle with Kemp in the middle. And here's McMillan to use clock. 1 second differential between game and shot clock. 11-10. McMillan at midcourt. Karl gives the nod. McMillan begins his move. 6 on the shot clock. McMillan covered by Karl Malone. 4. Out to Payton with 3. He's going to get off the shot. It's in the air. Rims off. Rebound. Eaton's got it. No time remaining. We go to overtime. We go to overtime. Tied at 110 apiece in Salt Lake City, Utah. A long bomb by Payton. Banked off. It had a chance, but crawled off the rim. We will keep the action here in Salt Lake City. And remind you that the Sonics have come from 10 back twice in this game. Once in the second quarter to get within 4 at half. Once in the third quarter to tie it after 3. 91 all. And down the stretch, the Sonics trading basket for basket with the Jazz. Move the Jazz to overtime at 110-110.
Well, in that fourth period, the Jazz had 8 out of 19. The Sonics had 6 out of 16. And unfortunately, they got caught 3 or 4 times. Used too much time on the clock as they did on that last, and they wanted to use a certain amount of time. They had hoped to get a better shot, but as it was, Gary Payton was not able to get into any kind of rhythm. As a matter of fact, the shot that he flung up was kind of with his right side of the basket, and he just threw it up in the hopes. And of course, the darn thing almost went in off the backboard. It had a good chance. Here again, as you take a look at it there with McMillan out there, a lot of pressure put on him and a lot of overplay. Payton gets the ball, and there he goes. He fired that one up. It almost went in. But again, Kevin, he had to several times in that fourth quarter just fire up a prayer with the Jazz doing an excellent job on defense, making the Sonics run the clock out without getting a good shot.
You got to give a hand to Karl Malone. He did a tremendous job on McMillan once Nate picked up that dribble. And it was Malone who made the quick step to McMillan's left to force Nate to pick up the dribble in the first place. So he beat Nate to the spot that he wanted to go. It was maybe a guess by Karl Malone. McMillan, a right-hander, going left. But that forced Nate to pick up the dribble, and then Karl at 6'9" was able to get all over him and deny him any chance to look even close to the basket.
Well, many feel that's why Karl Malone is maybe the best power forward in the NBA, because he's not just a shooter, a scorer, or a rebounder. He is a total ball player.
110-110, we go into overtime. Mark Eaton and Benoit Benjamin stand at center court to jump it up. Here's the tap. It is volleyed, and McMillan comes away with it. Nate McMillan smothers that ball at midcourt. We're in overtime. It's a 5-minute session. Tied at 110, McMillan. Over to Pierce, sideline left. Gets a pick from Big Ben, circles off the screen, heads into the lane. Fires up one over Eaton, rims off. Rebound followed by Ben, not there. Second rebound follow, not there. Rebound Kemp. Corkscrews into the air. Hits a follow-away 10-footer. Sean Kemp. Boy, that was a big one. 13 points for Sean, and the Sonics draw first blood in overtime. 112 to 110. Now Jeff Malone outside, covered by Pierce. Swing it topside to Stockton, checked by McMillan. Stockton looking inside for the mailman. He stops, drops, spins to the inline, pull-away jumper, got it on the baseline. Karl Malone, 34 points for Karl. 112, 112. 4:11 to go in overtime. Boy, if you haven't called your grandma by now to tell them the Sonics are linked up in a good one, you still have time. We're in overtime. Pierce nearly had it stolen away on the exchange from McMillan as Stockton got in there. Pierce now will feather one low to McMillan. Backs down on Stockton, spins to the baseline. Beat him, hands off to Big Ben. He rumbles in on Eaton and banks one up and in. Benoit Benjamin has 17. And the Sonics have the lead again at 114 to 112. 3:45 to go in overtime. Stockton high on the left, checked by McMillan. Stockton looking for the mailman. Kick ball by McMillan. That big left foot of his out there on that skip pass intended for Malone. Deflects it away, so a fresh 24 on the shot clock for Utah on the kick ball. 3:39 to go in overtime. Sonics by 2.
Karl Malone already has as many in overtime as he had in the fourth quarter. You can bet they're going to go to him a lot in this 5-minute period.
Karl Malone swings it in bounds. Blue Edwards has had the hot hand. Look out for Edwards. Here's Stockton on the point. Covered by McMillan. Kemp inside trying to deny Malone. Trying to front him. Malone trying to get position. Does. Got the skip. The feathered loop pass there from Stockton. Muscled in and is hacked and fouled. Malone comes over with some words for the Sonic bench. A smile and a trip to the free throw line.
Well, again, they're going to just isolate him one-on-one when they can. That time the Sonic weak side wasn't quick enough to get over to give any double team help because the play, as Malone drop step, whirled to the basket so quickly. So no chance for the weak side to get over there.
114 to 112. Sonics by 2. 3:28 to go in overtime. And here is the mailman to the line. Ooh, I tell you, Bob, tonight he has not looked relaxed at the free throw line. That time he kind of recoiled just as he let the ball go.
Well, he has hit, what do I have him at 6 out of 8 so far, so he has missed 2 now.
And he'll float another one up there. And he got this one. Karl Malone with 35. 114, 113. Sonics by 1. McMillan dances across midcourt, spins away from the lunging Stockton. Stockton bodies up on Nate McMillan. No harm, no foul. Nice pass in deep. Kemp made a mistake, put the ball on the floor. Stockton eats him up, taps it away to Blue Edwards, and he's fouled in backcourt. Good foul by Sean Kemp. That is the 4th foul on Sean. Second Sonic team foul. 114, 113. 3:15 to go in OT.
Michael Cage coming off the bench, and it is going to be for Sean Kemp. Kemp, great ball player, does a lot of great things, but he still has a tendency to put that ball on the floor in the paint, and he loses it an awful lot. It's cost the Sonics several points tonight.
Yeah, Stockton's just been waiting for that. Stockton covered by McMillan on the point, gives it outside to Karl Malone, right-hand side of the key, checked by Cage's entry pass into Blue Edwards, denied, tapped away by Pierce. He's got a 3-on-2, over to Nate to the net, lays it up and in. Nate McMillan has got 11 on a beautiful steal by Ricky Pierce. 116, 113, Sonics by 3. 2:53 to go in overtime. This team has played with so much poise and confidence and smarts tonight. Stockton down low. Malone double team. Hook passes over to Jeff Malone out of the baseline and jumper off the mark. Karl got the rebound. Loose ball foul on Karl Malone. Sonics will take it back with 2:41 to go in overtime.
Boy, is that a gut call at the right time as far as the Sonics are concerned. And we have a delay of game warning by the Jazz against them. All right, here's the shot put up, bounce up in the air, and Malone just gave Cage a little push there before he went and got the ball, so that's why I got it.
Now we've got a timeout called by the Utah Jazz after some confusion with the officials. Sonics 116, Jazz 113 in overtime on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. 2:37 left in overtime. Seattle lead and the leather. 116, 113. Sonics by 3. 3 baskets in the paint for Seattle in the overtime. Pierce one-on-one left side. Jeff Malone hacks it away. Pierce goes back to get it. Turnaround baseliner. Got it! What a shot from Ricky Pierce. Wow, 28 points for Ricky Pierce. A playground deuce for Ricky Pierce. 118, 113. Sonics by 5. Stockton into the lane. Makes contact with McMillan. And an offensive foul called on Stockton. Can you believe that call? The Sonics get it back, leading by 5 with 2:12 to go in overtime. An offensive foul on Stockton after he and McMillan had made contact. Now McMillan across midcourt with possession. Handling it down the wing. Stockton chopping away, trying to get at it. McMillan picks up the dribble. Skips it over to Ricky. Double team. Back to Nate. Nate on the point with 12 on the shot clock over to Johnson. Karl Malone falls, makes contact with Michael Cage. Johnson steps out of bounds on the far side. Malone taps the ball away from Eddie Johnson. Johnson takes a step toward Karl Malone and realized that he was 6'9" and 260. Quickly smiled and sprints the other way. Jazz will take it down the floor. Now Stockton the other way. Lowers the boom on McMillan. The two make contact, and a foul is called on McMillan. He hit the shot after contact was made. Stockton wanted the shot to count, it won't. And Nate McMillan will pick up this foul in the contact between the two players.
Boy, do you think this game is getting a little tough? By the way, Kevin, the Sonics at this 5-point lead, that's the biggest lead they've had for the entire ball game tonight. Earlier, 3 points had been their biggest lead. So the Sonics have the edge with 1:46 to go.
5-point Sonic lead. Stockton a three in the air. Rims off. Rebound loose to the corner. Ricky Pierce will scamper after it. 1:40 to go in the game. Sonics have possession. Here's Johnson. Glides down the wing. Muscles one up. Malone was leaning on him in the act of shooting. It will send Eddie Johnson to the free throw line. The foul is on Blue Edwards. And it will send Eddie Johnson to the free throw line. The Sonics leading by 5 with 1:34 to go in overtime.
You want a little note we might give on the side. Ricky Pierce averages 3 rebounds per game. Ricky's already doubled that tonight. He's had 6 boards, so Ricky's one of those guys. In addition to the many points he has scored, he's been getting some boards for the Sonics.
Eddie Johnson 8 for 10 from the line. Make it 9 of 11 as he hits the free throw. 23 points for Eddie Johnson. Kemp has a basket, McMillan a basket, Benjamin a basket, Ricky Pierce a basket, all here in overtime. Eddie Johnson hits the second free throw in overtime. Sonics by 7, their largest lead of the game. 1:20-1:13, 1:29 to go. Stockton will fire up a 3. He got it! All court for John Stockton. 22, Johnson breaks away. Long pass up the floor to the glass. He will lay it up and in. Eddie Johnson with 26. The Sonics lead by 6. Stockton breaks into the lane. Double teamed over to Carl. Into the lane. His shot blocked away by Benjamin. Grabbed by Cage. Ahead to Pierce. Ricky down the flank will bring it back outside with 1:12 to go in overtime. Ricky double team. Will sling it to midcourt. Now McMillan will take it. 16 on the shot clock for Nate, who spins away from Stockton, lunging on him. And the foul is called on Stockton. It is his 4th. And a penalty situation will send the Sonics to the line at the 1:05 mark of overtime. Seattle leading by 6, 122-116.
You know, that I think was a pretty good calculated play by John Stockton, because Nate McMillan, like Michael Cage, is under the 70% mark in free throw shooting. He is at 67%. So now with still 1:05 to go and the Sonics leading by 6, the Jazz still have an opportunity.
I tell you, George Karl has done a heck of a job here tonight. Here's McMillan to the line. The free throw up. He missed it. He and Bobby Kloppenberg and Gary Wortman the last 2 days have been working with the Sonics. I tell you what, Bob, you give a good coaching staff 2 days to work on one team, break them down, they can do it.
Well, and you know they were doing it, for 2 days at full practice workouts in the day. Their normal hour shoot-around went an hour and a half.
That's right.
They have worked for this game tonight.
McMillan misses the first one. Second one airborne. It's not over yet. He got it. He hit the second free throw. 12 points for McMillan. The Sonics lead by 7, 123-116 on Saturday night. The Sonics will travel to play the Sacramento Kings, then have to come back for the first of 10 games in the month of March at home to take on the tough Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday night. You want to be there to welcome the Sonics back to Seattle off what I think, Bob, is going to be a highly successful road trip.
Well, it looks like it, and this should be a great stretch drive. And in March, Cleveland, Denver, New Jersey, Detroit, Dallas, Golden State, Houston, Milwaukee, New York, Utah. Yeah, all of them great games, 10 home games, and tickets at Ticketmaster, 628-0888. Hey, you can make your calls right now. Pick out some of those games you want to see. And don't sell New Jersey short. They beat Portland tonight. I mean, you know the thing, too, about the Sonics. They have not won this ball game yet, Kevin. If they do, however, this will be their longest winning streak of the season if they can hang on here, because they would have won 5 in a row. It would put them 6 over the 500 mark. But you know, also, the Sonics this year, they have won 8 of their last 9 games under George Karl. 6 of those have been against winning teams. Seattle has been having trouble winning games against winning teams. They now, going into this game tonight, have 13 games over the winning clubs in the NBA. They also have a tremendous record within their own conference, the Western Conference, at 20-12, which will help them a great deal should they wind up getting in a tie with one of the teams they're battling with down the stretch. So Seattle's been doing an awful lot of good things, and they're playing so well right now. It really is a pleasure to watch this ball club. You knew that tonight, well, Michael Cage said it. He said it earlier, said if they're going to win tonight, it's going to be on defense. Well, it's been a high-scoring offensive ball game, but still defense is what's turned this 5-minute overtime around.
All right, the Utah Jazz will have it. Rebounding in overtime has been a key. Sonics with 5, 3 on the offensive glass, and the Jazz have yet to get a rebound in the overtime.
And the Sonics have a 42-40 rebound lead for the game. It's the first time they've been ahead on the board for the game, so it all tells.
Lou Edwards will swing it in bounds. Delaney Rudd is in now. They put more ball handlers on the floor, and Rudd throws it away into the hands of Tony Brown. His pass up the floor to Johnson gets away and out of bounds.
Yeah.
Tony Brown in the lineup now for the Sonics to give him one more defender, along with Pierce, McMillan, Johnson, and Michael Cage. Jazz will take it back. 123-116. Look out for Stockton. He's a great three-point shooter, 42%. He is pass inside Edwards. A reverse up and in with the right hand. Sweeps it up and in. Lou Edwards with 24. This game's not over. 53 seconds to go. Sonics 5-5. They pressure the Sonics in backcourt. And a foul is called as Rudd steps up, pushes Eddie Johnson. And it will send EJ to the free throw line. So Sonics now have ball handlers on the floor, for the exception of Michael Cage, and good free throw shooters. Michael's had his difficulties at the line tonight.
Well, that's true. And, of course, they did pick one of the guys to foul there, Eddie Johnson. I mean, Ricky got the ball into him. Eddie went over and said something to Ricky. I'm not sure what it was all about, smiling, but I'm not sure. But I tell you, Tony Brown, it's too bad Tony threw that ball away because the Sonics had a chance to kill a lot of clock.
Johnson hits the free throw. Eddie Johnson with 27 points. 5 in the overtime. 124-118. Sonics can get their largest lead back, and they do as Johnson hits the free throw. 28 for Eddie. The Sonics lead by 7. 47 seconds to go in overtime. Stockton outside, up the Karl Malone pick. Hesitates from three-point range. Glides inside, double teamed, over to Jeff Malone. Arcs a high three in the air, missed it. Long rebound, grabbed by Stockton. He'll bring it outside. Over to Delaney Rudd for a three. He got it.
I'm going to go back out to Jeff Malone there because Jeff was wide open. He really was in his shooting rhythm.
But
he just simply missed.
But, you know, it was interesting. Looking at his stats today, I was shocked. You'd figure Malone, a good shooter, good perimeter shooter, would be a better three-point shooter, but he's only tossed up 9 of them this year, and he said one of those. So both of them off the mark, well outside of his range. Eddie Johnson has been in his range tonight. He's picked up 32 points, 8 for 8 from the free throw line at overtime. He is 16 out of 18 in the ball game from the free throw line. That is a remarkable shooting.
Look at this run that Eddie Johnson has had. 31 against the Lakers, 34 against Portland, 32 against Minnesota. And what does he have now tonight? He's up to what, 32. 32 again.
He will lead the team in scoring for the 4th straight game, the 5th in the last half dozen. 129-124. Edwards will bring it in bounds. After some consternation by the Jazz, out at midcourt, Stockton with it. Bluffs the three, steers it over left-hand side. Shot blocked by McMillan. Game over. 2 seconds remaining. Ricky Pierce gets possession. Now they're smiling on the Sonic bench. They have won it in Utah. 129-124. 2 seconds remaining, and Ricky Pierce, fittingly enough, will go to the free throw line. He has 28 big ones tonight. High fives all around for George Karl and his group. Hard-working group here in Salt Lake City, and George is beaming. What a big win for George Karl.
You know, this is going to make 9 out of his last 10, and 7 of those 9 have been against winning ball clubs, several of them out on the road, where Seattle will get its 14th win tonight, more than they had all last year.
Ricky Pierce free throw up and raised the iron, came down. Doesn't matter. This game's over.
That stopped a streak of 14 straight he had going. We'll forget that streak. Start a new one, Ricky.
All right, here's Pierce. Winds up with 2 seconds remaining in overtime. Delivers and nails it. 29 for Pierce. 130-124. The Sonics come in and shock the Utah Jazz, winning it in overtime in Salt Lake City and taking, to this point anyway, the season series 2-1. Again, our final in overtime. The Sonics 4-3 in overtime. Win it over the Jazz tonight, 130-124. We will be back to recap a beauty here in a moment on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Overtime, the Sonics defeat the Utah Jazz 130-124. I don't know about you, Bob, but I am spent. I can imagine how the players feel. What can you say? Another beautiful ball game. Sonics win in overtime. Only the 3rd home loss all year for the Utah Jazz, who are now 26-3, and the Sonics have nailed them twice now here at the Delta Center.
Kevin, remember prior to the game, your key to the game, pop off the bench. The Sonic popped off the bench tonight, 58-24. The Sonic bench outscored the Jazz bench. A big win tonight for a lot of reasons, because if the Sonics, by chance, play the Utah Jazz in the playoffs, they have now shown with the confidence they can win. They've taken both games up here. I'm not sure whether they'll meet them. The Sonics may climb a little higher than that the way they're going right now. They're in 6th place right now as of tonight, a half a game ahead of the Lakers. But for that reason, it's big.
Sonics had the 7th best road record in the NBA coming into tonight's contest at 13-15. They won 13 all of last year. The Sonics now have 12 games left on the road. They're 14-15 on the road and are 6 games over 500 right now. 30-25. Seattle has won 6 of the last 9 on the road. What can you say about Eddie Johnson? 32 points tonight, 8 of 8 from the free throw line in overtime, 16 of 18 from the line for the game. And Ricky Pierce with 29 points. He also had 7 rebounds, 6 assists. We've got all the numbers for you here in a moment. The important one is the Sonics win in overtime tonight over the Jazz, 130 to 124. We'll be back to recap it for you here in a moment on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
The Sonics postgame show is brought to you by Ben Bridge, the Diamond People for over 4 generations.
Big victory in overtime for the Sonics tonight. They're now 4-3 in overtime, 131-24, and a guy a big part of it, 3 for 3 at three-point range. Dana Barris, our post-game interview with Kevin Calabro, and Dana is being brought to you by Ben Bridge and Seiko. For turning his outstanding performance, Dana Barris receives a beautiful men's fashion quartz dress watch, compliments of Ben Bridge and Seiko. And remember, for fine jewelry, talk to the Diamond People. For over 4 generations, Ben Bridge, located in downtown Seattle and all major malls. Talking with Dana Barris, here's Kevin Calabro.
Well, Dana Barris hit the three-pointer tonight. He was 3 for 3. Coming into tonight's contest, he was number 3 in the league in three-point percentage, behind Drazen Petrovic of New Jersey and Joe Dumars out of Detroit. But first, we'll talk about that in a moment. First, the win tonight over the Jazz in overtime. Unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah, it was definitely a big win. We've been playing pretty well over the past month and a half, and you know, Coach Carl has made a big difference in the intensity that we're playing at, and you know, we're just trying to carry that as long as possible and get in the best position we can for the playoffs.
Dana, you had Tuesday, you had Wednesday, and a long shoot-around this morning of about an hour and a half to work on the Utah Jazz. It really showed because you folks didn't make many mistakes tonight.
Right. We tried to keep Malone at a minimum. You know, we didn't want him to dominate the game, and we tried to control Stockton, but you know, he had one of his monster games again. But you know, I think the big thing is we went on the road. It was a tough game overtime. You know, we did what we had to do in the crunch time, which we haven't done during the beginning of the season.
Let's talk about January 25th, the pass. The Utah Jazz stealing it in backcourt. A pass that comes off your hands for the win. For you, this is big retribution here as the Sonics win again. Only the 3rd loss they've suffered at home this year.
Oh, definitely. You know, that loss hurt me for about a week. You know, even after 2 or 3 games we played, you know, after that situation that happened. But you know what? It's going to happen to everybody over a course of their career, whether it's high school, college, or pros, or whatever. So, you know, the thing about it is you got to come back, and tonight I want to come back and play well, and I think I played pretty well. Man,
you have played well. You've moved up to 45% now from three-point range by hitting 3 for 3 tonight. 3 3-pointers for Dana Barris. He was just 3 1/1000ths of a point behind Dumars for second and was right on the tail of Drazen Petrovic. The 3-point race now comes into focus with 26 games remaining. Is that a little goal you've got?
Yeah, I think it's a little personal goal that I have on top of team-oriented goals. But, you know, that'll just be something on top of what we do as a team. You know, it's something that I can look back at the end of the season and say, you know, that was a big accomplishment. But right now I'm just going to try and keep shooting them. I feel a lot better about my shot and my confidence, so I'm just going to keep letting it flow.
All right, the most important question, 130 points scored tonight by the Sonics over the Jazz, who had held their opposition to an average of 96 points a game over the last 7. 130 points means what for you guys tomorrow?
No practice.
Now explain that to the folks.
We had a little deal with Coach. He wants us to run. He wants us to get up and down and play playground ball. So he said if we score 120 points, we don't have to practice. So we definitely let him know.
So the Sonics now 4-3 in overtime, defeat the Utah Jazz for the 2nd time in as many tries here at the Delta Center. And the Sonics again, repeating again, only the 3rd time the Jazz have lost here at home this year. The only other team to beat them, the New York Knicks. It snapped a 9-game home winning streak. Time now for the player of the game, brought to you by Schick Tracer. It traces every curve on your face. Eddie Johnson, who else? 32 big ones tonight for Eddie Johnson, many of them coming from the baseline. Working on the jumper before the game tonight. He was raining them during the contest. 32 points for Eddie, 10 in the overtime, 8 for 8 from the free throw stripe in overtime, 16 of 18 from the line for the game, 8 of 15 from the field. Eddie Johnson, what a ball game. Now, Let's go to Bob. 7 players in double figures tonight for the Sonics. Bob's got the breakdown of our stats.
All right, let's take a look first at the team stats. The Sonics shoot over 50%, 55 tonight, 48 for 87. Had 2 more field goals than the Jazz, who for the 5th straight game have shot 50% or better. At the foul line, the Sonics ultimately had the upper edge, mainly because of the overtime. 30 for 39, 26 out of 34 for the Jazz, both of them at about 76, 77%. Assists, pretty close to even. The Sonics had 32, the Jazz had 34. Stockton had 19, leading the Sonics with assists. Gary Payton and Nate McMillan each had 7. Turnovers, the Jazz had 15 for 23 points. The Sonics 14 for 28 points. About horse and horse. Individually, Eddie Johnson, the Sonics' leading scorer for the 4th consecutive game tonight, 32. He's been averaging 32 points per game, or 32 minutes and 27 points per game over the last 4. Pierce 29, Benjamin 17. For the Jazz, Karl Malone had to work hard, but he got his usual 35. Edwards with 27. He was the big man because that's much over his scoring average, and John Stockton 25. So there you have the big numbers in the ball game tonight, but the biggest, as always, the final score in overtime, where the Sonics are now 4-3 for the season, 130-124 over the Jazz, as we go back to Kevin.
Great ball game from Eddie Johnson tonight, who just goes walking by after his post-game interview with Hot Rod Hundley of the Utah Jazz Radio and TV Broadcasting Group. Sonics have now won 5 straight, 9 of their last 10 overall, and 6 of their last 9 on the road. What do you do for an encore? Well, you move on to Sacramento on Saturday night and take on the Sacramento Kings, and you hope that there's no letdown for this Sonic crew. You get the feeling that there won't be. Sonics are now 11-5 with George Karl at the helm and are now 6 games over the 500 mark. Great game. We'll see you on Saturday night. We could talk all night about this one on radio. We will. Our thanks to Jim Ross, to Lloyd Glazer. For Bob Blackburn, I'm Kevin Calabro. Again, repeating the final, 130-124. The Sonics over the Jazz in overtime.
Tonight.